It's where I go to hide.
Dude, that's perfect for Llama Lounge. Like, we're both just gonna have fucked up mics.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we're rolling. Hit it! So fucking typical, I don't know what to do. I'm on the Scotch and I'm feeling kind of wound.
Alright, you ready?
Think you're scary, but I don't know what to do. Gotta dodge your boo, cuckoo, choo. Hey!
Welcome to the lot, everybody. Episode 3. That's like 2 more episodes than I thought we'd get through.
that intro wasn't clunky at all. No, it was perfectly smooth.
No,
I don't know. We'll have to see it back. How's everyone doing?
All right.
I'm excited about this.
Lot.
This is going to be a fun episode, I think. I'm pumped about this set of guests we have coming up.
Yeah, you want to tell everyone, and remind everyone who's coming on?
So we have Brandon. I got to ask him how to pronounce this. I think it's Wenerd from Bro Bible.
Let's just call him Wenerd and see how he reacts.
It'll be a third epic beard between me, Llama, and Brandon. So
He will give you a run for your money there.
I think he might have us all beat. His beard is. It's dope.
Anybody who can grow in this part of their beard has me beat.
You don't get this one right here?
I get that, but like I don't get like the
that's
space around it.
I think that's natural. Yeah.
Yeah, it's natural, but like Tim's is full, so like he gets it.
Well, that's because during this whole isolation COVID thing, I went from a weekend Wook to a full-time Wook, right? Like there's no grooming.
I thought for a while.
Kevin. I want to see Kevin grow a beard. I think.
Yeah, what the hell's going on?
I shaved it like a week and a half ago when I had to go somewhere and I wanted I had to go into my office for something and I didn't want to look that bad, so I shaved it and threw a baseball cap on.
It's pretty much what I did to come on the. Pretty much what I did to come on the lot today.
After Brandon, we have Mike Finoia, host of Amigos podcast on Osiris. He also did that still tracing thing, stand-up comedian in New York. I mean, he has a great resume, cool guy. I've talked to him a couple of times. I was on his podcast. Really, really cool guy. We have Ashley Driscoll, the founder of Groove Safe, super awesome cause. Really interested to talk to her, see what the future is. I mean, with live music kind of on a pause right now, I want to see what else is going on. And then Ari Fink, the host of, well, he has a couple of channels, right? He does the Phish channel, the Dave Matthews channel, Jam On. So he's a DJ on Sirius XM. So it should be fun.
That's a show right there. It's gonna be rocking.
And it's a great crossover. It's a great dinner and a movie for Ari because of the special guest.
Yeah.
Hey, and then also, if I'm correct, 2 of us have been to the show that's airing tonight. Me and Great we're both at Virginia Beach. Was anybody else that I'm missing though?
No.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, we can get into that a little bit. I don't want to I know people are trying at the set list, so I won't get too much into that. But that ghost opener is sick. Oops.
Yeah, no, I've heard really good things about this show. I'm trying. It's weird because it happened like 20 something years ago, but it's almost like when like a new movie comes out and you like really try to avoid spoilers, or like when Game of Thrones finale aired and like you couldn't watch it that night, you like don't go on Twitter or whatever. I've been actively trying to avoid spoilers. I'm trying not to look at the set list, but I think we're gonna probably blow that out of the water tonight on the episode, right? Shit's gonna happen. We're gonna have to talk about it.
I also I'm really curious since I was there, to see if it holds like on video and to see if it's like, see if it translates as well. Because I remember just being obviously in pure joy, start of summer tour, all these new songs that they were introducing. And it was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But I'm wondering without HD cameras and, you know, it's going to be a little rough. So I'm kind of curious if it holds up.
I broke out my tapes.
Nice.
Now, were you taping, Kev, at that show?
No, the guy I was with did. So he had brought his deck, and he actually patched out of someone with mics, so we were both, you know. But hey, that's the whole point. Why do 20 people have to bring mics if one guy has the best mics in the world and will run a daisy chain, you know?
Kev, how's the quality on those?
They said it sounds pretty good because the taping section was right on the lawn behind the soundboard. Like right by the walkway, so you didn't have people in front of you. You only had the crowd noise behind you, and then there was a gap.
Yeah.
You know,
Chad had a wonderful beach story.
What?
Chad had a wonderful beach story he mentioned earlier. I'd love to hear this. It sounds like it was a beautiful setting.
No, we got out of the car after 12 hours, just exhausted. We're like, let's go down to the beach. And the weather wasn't great that day. It wasn't like a summer day in Virginia like you'd expect. It was kind of cool. And we went down to the beach and it just smelled like dead fish and sadness. I didn't it was like Virginia Beach. Whatever, you know, I'm not a big Atlantic Ocean beach fan. I'm a Pacific Ocean beach guy, but you know. Yeah.
So,
Atlantic Ocean. Go ahead.
One of the big things we have planned for today, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm excited about it. I wonder if Llama's wife realizes that she's live right now.
And that Llama disappeared and Mrs. Llama.
I'm so glad she has like the first time. Hi, Miss Llama.
Hi, Mrs. Llama.
Hi.
This is when it feels more like a Zoom call and less like a show.
Llama.
Wait, are we live?
Llama.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time before Travis's dog barks.
Nobody tunes in for the first half hour. It's when the guests come on that everybody gets involved.
But you have big news today, so people should be tuning in.
Big news. I am really excited because everybody's been asking me, what's the next bracket? It's really like the most important thing on people's minds right now. We are about to wrap up the 2.0 Jam bracket. We're going to the Elite 8 tomorrow. That'll go pretty quickly, and everybody's going to want to know what the next bracket is. So let's get into it. We want to announce what the next bracket is.
Go ahead.
I don't have a drum roll queued, so I'm just going to say it. The next Wook bracket is going to be the greatest American rock band. I'm going to drop this right over to Chad because this actually was something Chad put together, 5 years ago?
Well, more than that, probably like 7. And it was one of the first conversations you and I had. Because
before you joined Wook Plus.
Before I joined Wook Plus.
It was the first time you reached out to me.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, man, you know, I know that you do these brackets and I have this cool idea. So recently, in the last few days or so, Hank Azaria came out and asked the question, very similar to how I asked the question. So, and I was a little bit like, oh, fuck you, Hank Azaria. But then I was like, okay, well, let's just do this. So it was a bar question because I was hanging out in bars in Wisconsin a lot at the time, and everybody would be like, Stones or Beatles, The Who or Zeppelin, you know? And I was like, where are the American bands in this conversation? So then I would turn it back on them and I would say, who is the greatest American rock band of all time? And then it was around March Madness kind of time. So I did a bracket style thing. And then I handed it out to people. I was like, hey, when you go camping or whatever, take this around the campfire and have a good conversation about it. And it was great. It was a Facebook thing. And then people actually did take it outside of Facebook and like ran with it. And I've gotten so many different answers. And like, obviously the group I gave it to wasn't as Phish centric as our group is going to be. So I think it's going to be, you know, I think the winner might be kind of predictable in our group, but I think the conversations along the way are worth it and are really fun. And I tried to make as many interesting matchups as possible. So I have like the Stooges versus MC5 in the first round, for example. You know, I won't give away the whole cow here, but you know, just for example, like a few really fun matchups like that, you know. So, you know, that's about it.
Well, why don't you give us the top one seeds, the 4.
Okay.
The top 4. We'll start there.
All right. Well, the one we won't go through the whole thing, but my 1 seeds, they all have good reasons behind them. So I made Phish a 1 seed. I made It's my own personal preference. So then I made Aerosmith a 1 seed because surprisingly, that was the biggest answer I got. Like that was the most common answer I ever got when I asked the question. Like, what has to be Aerosmith, right? 20 some albums, been around for forever. And then for my other 2, I went with the Ramones because if you really dive into the Ramones, like if you really look at them, they were around a long time and they put out a lot of content and they changed the face of rock and roll in America in a lot of ways. So I felt that they were deserving of a 1 seed. And then the final one, I had to include the Beach Boys because the Beach Boys were just cranking out #1 hits in their time and their music has lasted forever. And I can't think of a more American sounding band than, songs about sun and California and surfing.
You were setting this up so well, though. I can't think of a more American band. And there's one band. There's one band that you happen to not mention, right?
Yeah, there are 2 seed.
A lot of people would argue is the most American sounding band, even if it's not the best American band. What is the most American band out there? Kev, who do you think that is? I know your answer, so let's go.
I would say the same person Trey said was the best American band, the Grateful Dead.
Okay, so here's the reason I made Phish a 1 seed and the Dead a 2 seed. And it really came down to longevity. Phish, believe it or not, have been around longer than the Dead was. And they had more studio albums and they've played more live shows. So, if you break it down, the Dead, they were first and they're great. And they're a 2 seed and you can vote them right past Phish if you want. But I gave Phish the 1 seed only because of the just longevity. That's it.
I have a question.
And same members.
What do you got, Llama?
All right. Now, technically, when like people leave the band and another person comes in, like the whole makeup of that band has changed a little bit, at least. So when you have bands that are like that on here, is there like a certain era that you're looking at or talking about?
I'm sorry, I don't want to answer for chat, but I personally would consider that still the band. I mean, I think about, obviously the Grateful Dead and Allman Brothers was like another one that pops right up, and I actually think that's more common. It's one of the things, if I had to argue for Phish's 1 seed, would be the fact that it's the same 4 members from in the 80s and that this whole time it's them. Like that is the band. I think most bands end up switching a member or 2 throughout their career.
It's like if Leonard Skinner's on the bracket, which
they are.
I would hope so, right?
Are we talking about before the Van Zant brother died or after? Because it's 2 totally different bands,
Well, you can. That's up to you, man. That's up to you. It depends on who they're going against.
What's the
it's all subjective and it's all just fun, just like all of these brackets that we do are. And I think conversations like that on Twitter.
It is not subjective. There's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. And I will melt about it.
Hold on.
I hope so, man. I hope if I have to do World's Greatest Chat again, though, for this bracket, man, I don't know, man.
Oh, I don't know. I love it.
That is a guarantee, dude. That is, I assume that was already happening. Like that has to happen. And here's the other thing, guys, and listen all out there in the Twitter world.
Were you about to say TV Land?
I almost did. TV Land, out there in TV Land. But if
this is on YouTube, not Twitter.
That's right, exactly. And if you are upset about Grateful Dead being a 2 seed, it is at Chatty Chew on Twitter. It's not. Please don't at Wook Famer Time. We're not responsible for this, okay? At Chatty Chew.
Okay. So Chad,
yes,
what's the most recent band that's on there? The newest band.
That was another criteria I had, is because I felt like that bands had to have at least like 3 or 4 albums. So there's not too many recent bands on there.
Yeah.
So most of these bands are going to be from the 80s and 90s. I think I'd have to look at it again. It's been a while, but I think there might be a couple 2000s bands in there. But most of these bands, I was like, one of the criteria that has to be there is like maybe, I forgot, I might even have said it, like 5 studio albums or something like that. So there's not a lot of new bands on there.
The Strokes should be on there though. Or the White
American?
Stripes.
White Stripes are on there. White Stripes are on there.
Strokes are from New York City, man. They're American.
Oh yeah, okay. They might be on there. I know White Stripes is.
One album wonders. Okay.
Whoa. Did you say the Strokes are a 1 album wonder?
Let's
Wait,
move
wait, wait.
on. Let's move on. But here's one thing I do want you to mention.
Mute that
Chad.
motherfucker.
No, one thing I do want you to
Uh-oh.
mention is
Oh,
is
no.
that there are rap groups and rap that is represented on this bracket, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I included rap groups that crossed over for me personally because I was school. So I included Public Enemy, NWA, Run DMC. I think those are the big three on there. There might be another one I'm not thinking of, but I felt all those bands crossed over enough into rock and pop that they should be considered. So
Public Enemy did one of the first things with the thrash thing with Anthrax when
Mhm.
Anthrax redid Bring the Noise back in '91.
Yep.
So do we want to go around and do this roundtable thing of who your top band is? Maybe we'll say besides Phish. No? All right, Travis, fine. You don't have to.
No.
participate.
I'm kidding.
Can we do like who would be like not in there that we haven't mentioned? That's not like a number one seed, but maybe should be / I don't know.
Let's complicate the shit out of this criteria.
Yeah, let's
How about
really
we just
do
go
that.
around and say a band that you really like that people should consider, regardless of seed, regardless of top, placement.
Go ahead, Travis. Why don't you start? I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose
I
because
know
he was
he
in the
did.
middle of a hit, and I was like, I want him to cough so bad.
Andy said he didn't want to answer. It's perfect.
And I didn't want to answer exactly. So I think I'll pass the hammer.
What the hell? I will
The,
take that though because I'm
right.
like wanting to answer so bad. It's
The
Tom
chat
Petty.
people say Ween or Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That's what we're getting in the chat. Just
Damn it, Llama.
No, go-
and God bless you, chat people, because you are correct on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are, to me, they are the preeminent American band in a sense. Like they have a level. I think they deserve a one seed in this mix. That would be the one to me, besides the Dead, that I would want to throw in there. And yeah, so it's Tom Petty for me.
Yeah, I should explain that as well. I left out bands that identify with a named solo artist. So Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, not on the list. Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band, not on the list. Dave Matthews Band, not on the list. Only
Well, I think Chad just froze, right?
He did.
I was cool. So I'm going to take over. I should clarify that's for the time being. This bracket isn't going live until early June. And that gives me 2 to 3 weeks
to mess with my bracket.
to
Springsteen.
enhance and improve your bracket. No, I don't think it's actually really well thought out. It's a great bracket. We might have some discussions. Maybe we'll open it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
Llama had
you know
pointed
what I mean?
out. Yeah, Llama had pointed out I had inadvertently left Weezer off of there, and that was a complete mistake on my part. They should be in the top 60. Should have a meeting in there, and we need to fix that. And I'm open to the Tom Petty, Dave Matthews, Bruce Springsteen argument. I'm open to it. I mean,
Or
there's
maybe just even have one seed for that type of band and have them fight it out as
A
a
play-in?
preseason,
a play-in match.
play-in bracket to figure out the best
I
lead
think I
band
did.
band.
I think I did put a play-in in there because
You
I
have
think
two
I was like
play-ins.
there. Yeah, I was like because I wanted to do it as much like the NCAA as possible, and so I think like I put like Train in as a play-in band against somebody or something like that.
So one thing I'm working on this week, because each one of these episodes we're going to try to get a little better, is not getting completely side railed from what we were doing. And what we were doing was trying to find out from the Wook crew who they thought was a great American band to talk about, whatever the criteria was. We heard from Matt. We heard from Travis. Did you actually answer that? I don't remember if you said something. You passed. So you know what? You passed. It's fine. Llama, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, but before we do, there's a really good question in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Are
Do that.
are the Wilburys disqualified because of George Harrison?
Oh, that is a good question. I don't think I included the Will.
Yeah, I think they would be disqualified.
They would.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
so. I think so. And also Jeff.
Jeff Lynne.
So
Yeah.
the band as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, Kevin.
The
by
band
the
is in
way,
there.
to fill in for Chad on that freeze. That was
Three
seamless.
members
Am I
of them are,
freezing? Am I really
You
freezing?
are. You want to
Oh,
pause
shit.
out for a minute?
Yeah, I suppose. God damn, I don't know if it's gonna get any better though.
That's all right.
I might have-
I'm going with Bruce Springsteen. I mean, I've seeing the guy a few times. He fucking leaves it all out there every night. And if the E Street Band isn't a band just because Bruce is the songwriter, I don't know where you're going with this.
Yeah. No, I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I went through this. Actually, I recorded it one night, and if I freeze, just mute me, and I'll get out of here and reset. But I actually had a friend visiting town, and we sat down here and we went through the whole bracket. We recorded it, and he came to his winner was the Foo Fighters, and he made a damn good argument for it. The quintessential, but obviously it's subjective. I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's subjective. He's wrong.
You're also freezing again.
Now, motherfucker. I'm gonna chime in now. I actually am real big, real high up on Talking Heads. I think you might have had him as a 2 or 3 seed. That's fair, probably, but for me personally, I think that's a top 4 band, American band for me.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, just the influence and everything about it. I mean,
more so than the Ramones that came out of the same kind of scene in New York, the CBGB's thing. I think Talking Heads are. I mean, you can listen to every Ramones album in 17 minutes. The whole catalog.
I don't want to piss off Ramones fans, and I have a lot of respect for them, but maybe that would be the swap. No, that would actually be the swap. I think Ramones could be up top, but I think maybe a 2 seed, and maybe I would bump Talking Heads into the 1 seed. And then maybe Aerosmith and Dead. I would bring Aerosmith down to a 2 seed and put the Dead up at a 1 seed. And then I think
this is why I can't answer this question, because you get into all of these, like, who is your favorite? Like, it's impossible for me to to compartmentalize.
So great about
one.
it, though.
Can I make it
so hard? Like, of course, the Dead is my go-to of everything. But are they the greatest? That's a hard question. That's like, what's your favorite movie? Or what's the greatest movie? I can't answer those kind of questions.
I would switch Phish in the Dead and put Phish as a 2 seed.
Phish in the Dead. I would definitely not have Phish in a 1 seed. And they're like, but again, they're one of my favorite bands. So are they? Where in my heart, but it's like a greatest.
I wish
American
Chad
rock
was
band.
here because he would back me up on this. But in my opinion, and this is just what I have observed, people that have musical backgrounds and are musicians, I think pretty clearly identify Phish as a technically better band, right? But then when you're looking at from a fandom, an influence, an impact on culture, society, and a stance,
Lyrics.
Whoa. I love Tom's lyrics, though.
But would you say American band?
I don't say I don't love them, but I'm definitely not putting them in the Robert Hunter category. I'm not.
Okay, that's fair. No, you're right. You got to keep that perspective.
When you say American band, I think Americana along with it,
and that
Phish isn't
Dead,
that,
right?
Yeah, and that's the Dead. That's Bruce Springsteen. That's Tom Petty. I mean, Tom Petty, Matt is right. American Girl. I mean, every 50 hit songs. I mean,
you go to a Tom Petty show. It's a greatest hit. You will not hear a song that you don't know. Here's where I have, and I think the Dead and the Phish have a little bit of an issue, is commercial success, right? And that's where, and when I mean
commercial success,
I know, but when I mean commercial success, I mean Aerosmith does have that leg up in the hits and the charted popular music, and I think that was something he put into that criteria and said, listen, that is a thing, because if you say Aerosmith, people know them. I mean, there are people that still don't know Phish today. If you go and say, hey, what, I love Phish, they're gonna go, oh, they're the band that covered Gin and Juice, right? So you know what I mean? Like, there's still an Aerosmith.
You know what you mean?
Yeah, and so that's where they and I think the Grateful Dead are pretty. Everyone knows them in a sense, but Aerosmith has that hit factor that the Dead and the Phish and Phish never really.
A Phish from Vermont.
Yeah, exactly. But they never really
like
had
every
that.
Live for Live Music article ever.
Exactly. So that's the thing.
Hey, I got a comment from the chat about their Dead Phish thing.
Hold on. All right, no, give it to me quick, and then I got something important breaking.
Okay.
Breaking.
The only arguing to switch Phish/Dead seeds is based on the historical and cultural importance. Phish rocks harder and better. So
I don't disagree personally. All right, so I think it's pretty clear personally, or no, sorry, excuse me. Refresh. Take a sip of Manhattan. Everybody chill. We got a long show. I think the bottom line is we're not going to settle this tonight. We're just introducing. Clearly, this is going to be a fun fucking bracket because everybody has an opinion. So instead of arguing this all night and ruining the whole show based on it, I think we should probably bring on our first guest. So I'm going to do some magic behind the scenes to get this on, and then we'll be back in a second. Let's see how this goes. I hope I don't fuck this up.
Who I'm talking about? You gotta read it.
Do you even Bible, bro? From Los Angeles, California, publisher of Bro Bible and millennial culture connoisseur, Brandon Wenerd.
Oh, this is such a professional game we run here. Hey, man, we keep the Wook and Wook Plus. Chad, you're muted. Brandon, you're muted, but welcome.
Did I just see some Nitrous Mafia B-roll?
That Nitrous Mafia B-roll is on every introduction on this show. It's so appropriate, and I'm so glad you called that out.
We're authentic here, Brandon. We're authentic, buddy.
I love it.
God.
That's amazing.
This is not even close to a competition. I don't know if you've been watching, but on the onset of the show, the conversation or the point came up. I don't know who was going to have the most epic beard, right? We got Llama over there, has a decent beard. I'm sporting a decent quarantine beard. But Jesus Christ, it's not even close. It's not even worth.
I don't know. Llama's been like keeping it like, nice and tight in the mutton chops there.
Yeah, if I don't, they stick out.
Do you find, as I do, that people really focus on your beard and you're like, excuse me, my eyes are up here?
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. I also I got this beer gut going on, of course, and it's not bad with Phish because everybody at Phish has a beer gut, but when
you and I look like 50% of Phish fans, by the way.
Right, exactly. We all just look the exact same. But it's really funny, when I go to Vegas for work, how many tourists would be like, "You're like Alan from The Hangover," and it's.
I didn't think that until you just said it, and now I agree. Yeah.
Now I can't stop thinking about it.
It sucks. It sucks. But fortunately, that's why you gotta get some flow going on, to really work out.
Yeah. So you talked about work going to Vegas. Why don't you tell us? Bro Bible, is that the main gig or is that a side gig? I mean,
no.
The content you guys put out is insane. You're a champion when it comes to digital content.
I appreciate that. Well, I got a fucking tattoo right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. It says content. It's literally my only tat.
Nice.
That is amazing. Holy shit.
Yeah, I got it at Jazz Fest a couple years ago. I'd wanted it for a really long time, and I'd been promising everybody on our team that I was going to do it. It was years in the making. And then, typical New Orleans story, you walk past a tattoo place and you go, yep, today's the day.
Seems like an appropriate tattoo though for everything you do.
Yeah, thanks. It's cool. I dig it too because it's got the New Orleans flair to it. That little jazz fest kick that looks a little strange outside of New Orleans.
That night, it's a brilliant idea. You're like, fuck yeah, I'm getting this tattoo. And then
right.
A year later, you're like,
A year later, you're like,
no,
maybe
cool,
I hate content. Maybe content sucks. Maybe we have too much content. Maybe it sucks.
I don't know.
When you're older.
Well, that was weird. Hey, let's go to Matt.
Yeah,
Chad, I think you're,
what What I love is it's like kind of a memento thing, right? If you've seen, the movie Memento, it's like it's a constant reminder. Like, I got to put content out. Like, holy shit, I haven't put any content out in about 10 minutes.
Although people sometimes ask if it's content, but
on your arm.
Yeah, get it. Like
that works too, though. That works too. It's like, yeah, I'm content, bro. I'm content.
So how many guys do you have working to put that content out on Bro Bible? Because it's like a little overwhelming. I mean, we have this year of 6 people, and like we're fucking pleased if we get one thing out a week. And I tune into what you're doing, and it's every day, just boom, constant content.
Yeah, I mean, like, so let me give you the backstory. Like, we started it in 2009 in New York City. And, the internet was just a very different place in 2009 than what it is now. Like, Bro Bible existed before, like, Facebook pages existed and all this stuff like that. And the genesis of it was that, like, we just kind of, like, just being in our, like, out of college, very early 20s, we were like, things like Esquire and GQ and Maxim are all very lame. And like they didn't at the time really embrace like what like quick conversation about like sports and entertainment like looked like and like and everything like that. So we came up with this, this Bro Bible hence was born, which gave us the world's most chatty name ever.
Were you more bro-ish, bro-esque in 2009?
Yeah,
did you transform into more of a Wook?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, it's kind of strange. Like, I would say the reason why we called it Bro Bible was because our main focus was always like sports. Like, and it was just really easy to define a demographic and then have a built-in audience. Like
it's brilliant marketing wise. It's very identifiable.
Yeah, and so like for 10 years, and this has always been like a full-time thing. It's a business of 12 people all around the country where, we're an information and publishing business and, that kind of, and an advertising business as well. And it has like many different iterations of it, but the goal is to kind of just always stay current to that audience with a certain type of voice. So look, it's crazy that we've been doing it for over a decade. Like, and it's existed as like, it's been my job in my life for over a decade now. So I'm really proud of it. But at the same point in time, like, and like various like things from other, like from like how much I like Phish and the Dead and everything like that. Like the great thing about Bro Bible is what you like can kind of seep into what your professional output is.
Sure.
It's not necessarily wholly like defined by one rigid thing. If we're gonna like make fun of like dudes in salmon shorts, like, that like, which is a very Bro Bible thing, like we're, it has a life of its own. So it makes sense.
You're hitting all demographics with that. Definitely the Phish demographics.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, so it's been a very bizarre thing. It's also like, and a very, very successful thing, but it's like cool because I feel like I've grown up with it. Like y'all like probably remember like how different you are at 22 than you are at, I'm in my mid 30s now. So like we don't even define ourselves as what we once did many, many years ago. It's just like kind of this special thing of people that like to write and create content on the internet that, and we're like, as long as we could, why would we want to work for anyone else if we can work for ourselves, Yeah.
No, it's really, I think it's amazing. I feel very kind of connected to your brand and what you've done. I think we're around the same age and have a very same philosophy. And I was a little more bro-ish, I think, out of college, and then got a little more Wookish. And I don't know. I feel every time I see your content and you personally and everything you're up to, I feel a little bit connected to that. And I like that it evolves. I like that there's, that growth to your identity, the brand's identity, and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's funny that you mentioned the like bro Wook thing. I have this like joke. It's not a great joke at all, but I always am like, there's a Chad to Wook spectrum. It's just like a spectrum that you exist.
We have a Chad and a Wook.
Yeah, it's not a binary.
Yeah,
that's funny. Hey, Brandon, I hope I'm coming through. Am I
you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, good, cool. Hey, I had a question for you. Said you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, man.
What was your job before that?
So I had always worked in digital publishing in one way or the other, right out of college. So I had a really, really, really interesting experience in college. I went to Penn State, and when I was there, I got really into, and this is a little bit of like Wookish, but kind of not. I was really into like Hunter S. Thompson and like writing and like Gonzo stuff and everything like that. And this is at the advent of like blogs. Hunter Thompson's widow, Anita Thompson, had a blog about like Owl Farm and kind of ongoing stuff in the wake of like Hunter's death. I wrote this like thesis about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and kind of American Dream stuff, whatever, just like nerdy English major stuff. Sent it to her, and then she asked me if I could like intern as a research assistant for a book project, a Hunter Thompson book project. And then that began like 2 years of a lot of research of taking all of Hunter's interviews and putting them to text and then releasing it as a book. And then in that process, I got to really know the publishing industry really well. And then I also got to know the kind of new publishing industry as well that was emerging at the time, because like this is early days YouTube where we're like digging up archival like footage of Hunter that like someone just had sitting around that they threw on the internet.
I can't imagine what a deep dive for 2 years into Hunter S. Thompson must be like on your brain.
Dude, it was insane. And then
I like
it
to
was
see the
also
before and after picture, right? Like, remember like the biggest dozen memes where it was
that's
like,
where the beard. He didn't have a beard before that. It just went.
Beard, yeah.
It was like a nice 3-piece suit and like a clean shave.
It was awesome. And in that process, we released the project started in 2007, and then we released Ancient Gonzo Wisdom in fall 2009. In that meantime, I graduated college, whatever, moved there to moved to Colorado to put up the finishing touches on like some of the rights stuff that we had to do to acquire like IP for the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then put it out to market, worked a little bit on some of the marketing, and then moved on to do some like writing stuff for media companies of my own. It was like AOL, just few places I had connections with to write very early in my career. And then it was like, okay, am I going to go into like big media, or am I going to figure out a path? Yeah, exactly. Like, I still feel like that, like too. Like, I was like, am I going to go into big media, or am I going to just figure out how to do this myself? And back in those days, wasn't really as business minded. That was like came along, but did a little bit of stuff at AOL, a little bit of stuff at a couple other places, writing wise and production wise, editorial. And then eventually when we figured out, Bro Bible was kind of where we wanted to go, that was it. So there wasn't really like, to answer your question, there wasn't really like a huge amount of time in my before.
Gotcha. Because you were going to college at the time. So you started doing this pretty much right out of college.
Yeah, basically right out of college.
Cool,
and
man.
then all of us that helped start it in 2009, we all met up in New York, just kind of in our various industries. And, it was one of those things where like how everybody spitballs an idea with a friend, or like even a casual acquaintance. And then eventually you're just like, are we going to go for it?
I like that. Sounds familiar to us. Very familiar.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
I like how you turned 2 years of college of reading Hunter S. Thompson into a career, basically. Like a lot of us did that, and it didn't pan out. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I mean, yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, because like I had to write all the footnotes in the book. And then I also had to like manage what Christopher Hitchens, RIP, wrote the like intro to it. And it was like a really aggressive project because the rights holders in all the project were like every major media touch point that Hunter ever went on, going back to like the 60s and like Hell's Angels and stuff like that. So like it was cool. It was cool for me as like somebody outside the system to learn how to navigate what media businesses are.
invaluable, man. Invaluable.
Yeah.
That's
And that like
wild.
has like, basically helped us with like starting Bro Bible and everything like that. And feeling like we at least had like have a fighting chance in the greater like landscape, because, corporate media, it is what it is, but like, it's not for me.
It's
Like,
good that we have an alternative to it. I mean, it's fine. It serves its purpose or whatever, but I think everyone on this show right now can agree that there's value in alternative media. Hey, Llama, you had a question for Brandon?
Yeah. I'm not sure like when Grantland came about. So I don't know if you guys were before or after, but if you guys were after, were you inspired to be like a more chill version of Grantland?
Yeah, it was a little bit after. And that's a really great question. Like, I think that Grantland paved the path for like a feeling of like thoughtfulness on the internet in a different way about like consuming culture. And like that had existed, don't get me wrong, but I think Grantland was like, hey, sports fans can be really thoughtful about like how they perceive other aspects of their media consumption with like entertainment and everything like that. So, and that pushed us. It's like you kind of got to keep up with the Joneses in a little bit of a way. So that pushed us to do some really cool things there, and especially with like entertainment and culture. It's crazy though, man. Like, we've been able to like have some really cool doors open to us because of our reach and size. And and doing it in kind of a, smaller way than like other louder places do things.
You're kind of hovering, right? Like you're in this medium. I don't know. I dig it because you're not quite in the corporate world, right? You're not in the big media spot, but you're hovering above like the amateur blogs and amateur content, i.e. Wook.
And the laws of physics still apply. The laws of physics still apply,
So
Hey,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
where do you see it going in 5-10 years?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, a lot of my interest. So I moved a couple years ago. I moved from New York to LA because I was really interested in going back into how bigger projects can work for like Netflix or like Amazon or something like that, and what that sort of route looks like of having a piece of IP and developing it into something bigger. And we're like in that game a little bit, and with like not a lot of like stuff to our name yet, but like that's the goal overall, is to get some stuff that feels like bigger cultural pieces that we support on Bro Bible, but also have lives on these bigger distribution platforms. And whether they're like sports stories or like, cultural things, etc. The good thing about being around for 10 years is that like, basically everybody knows us. So like in one way or the other, even if it's been years, you at least know the name and you probably have an opinion of it. And if you can formulate something like that in partnership with someone, it's really valuable. So like, I'd love to have a documentary of some sort that gets out there, not about Bro Bible, but about something that we produce.
Right on.
And I'd
Would
love
you be
to,
willing
do more
to
stuff like
team
that.
up with the Wook Plus team on a project? Are we too
Dude,
small for you?
absolutely. No,
We're
fuck
small,
I'm
but
open
we're
to
on to
anything,
something.
man.
We have
I'm open
an
to
authenticity.
anything. It was.
I'd like to do that because I know Brandon and I work in similar fields and do similar things, and I've always checked out your content a lot, man. And like it's something I've always liked, and like I've thought about that a lot, man. It'd be great to work with you guys on something, or we should definitely put our heads together.
It's always. I'd love to.
I'm sorry.
It's always
sorry. This is the exact moment Travis's Viking ninjas kicked in. So just so everybody knows, Travis had
it's actually
oral
15
surgery
minutes ago.
15. Okay, he had oral surgery today. So he's on a couple Vikes. So just
did you get
so
a root canal? Did you get a root canal? Was it a root canal?
I did.
Day?
It was part 2. It was part 2 of the root canal day. The first part was 2 weeks ago, and today was the second part, and then in a month is the third part. It's been rough,
brutal.
but I'm feeling good now.
Yeah, it was fun watching him kick in just then. It was really
You're
fun.
truly going into a Wook experience of this show.
He's not the only one on him, I'm sure, in this crowd.
Hey, Brandon, I had a quick follow-up question to the Grantland question. Our friend Famertime over there hates Bill Simmons. Can you tell him why he's wrong?
Dude, I kind of am with him, man.
Oh no! Backfire!
Correct answer.
Oh
Answer.
I kind of am
Oh
with
my
him.
God. We just became best friends, Brandon. God bless you.
Mirrored him.
Oh, this is chaos.
Fantastic.
You know, the reason why is because I remember I don't his page 2, it goes back to his page 2 column on ESPN page 2, where he was it was the beginning of Boston sports navel gazing that drove me absolutely insane at the time.
It can be
So
a little
gross.
much. It can be
So
a little
gross.
I don't get me wrong, I respect the shit out of him.
Right.
I think he's, done incredible things.
Yeah.
But I still can't there's a part of me that will think back to when I was reading one of his Boston sports columns on page 2, when it was all pixelated and weird and that red and yellow background and everything like that, pre-Grantland, and you're what the heck? And then of course the Pats
That's
go on to
funny.
be the dynasty that they are, and you're fuck, this guy had it all right all along.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Remember when Boston sports were miserable? I mean, there was a
Right.
time when that wasn't that long ago when we were growing, when I was in high school and college, that they hadn't won shit, and those sports fans were miserable. Oh, those were the days.
And then all it took was the breaking the curse of the Bambino, and then suddenly everybody's
and then it was an avalanche.
lost their fucking mind. Yeah.
That's all
Red
we
Sox
hear now.
fans, come on. When they come into your stadium, you just stay home. Just stay home. They are the worst. And please, this time it is at WMC Hammer. If you want to at me about Red Sox fans, bring it.
Hey, no, it's
or Bill Simmons.
Yankee fans, then Red Sox fans. Trust me, because with the Orioles, we get both of them coming down all the time.
I have a great idea.
The
guys.
Orioles shit on themselves enough. Who else needs to?
Let's
Ooh,
figure out a way
Orioles
to
smack.
piss
Here we
off
go.
everybody.
It's not the
Yeah.
team's fault. It's the owner's fault. But we aren't going to talk sports because that's not.
We're
what
not talking sports. We're
We're so
just-
glad you're here, Brandon. Usually Wook mutes us when we start talking sports. So let's
Right.
talk
I
some more.
mean, I love sports, but the problem is you can't win that argument because there's no logic to it. There's no
There's
sound
no logic to
It's
it.
just where you were born and some weird loyalty, and you say the wrong thing, and half of your audience fucking hates you because some dude made a goal, and you're like, "Fuck, I hate my life." Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I like my baseball players and
Simplified,
sports guys
wasn't
like
it?
this.
Oh, are we
Oh,
doing
the
baseball
fucking
card of the week?
logo.
Cards.
Are we doing baseball card of the week? I forgot about that. I forgot we were doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, it
Okay,
ties
hold
in
on a
here because
second.
there's no logo. So he just plays for the people.
This is why
This
we
is
need
Ken
Brandon.
Griffey Jr. on a Jimmy Dean sausage baseball card.
This is why we need
Okay.
Brandon's help.
I have a
Plays
pack
for the
of
people.
94 Fleer basketball cards. If anybody wants me to open them right now.
Yes, open them. I want to see if
do.
Gary Payton's in there.
Please open those.
All right, here we go.
Everybody bought their baseball cards? I didn't know.
I actually have a backstory about this too. So the NBA All-Star game was in LA a couple years ago, and like I went to some event and Darren Rovell was giving these out. Like he was giving them out like they were just like to.
Oh, how cool!
I don't know. So these are Darren Rovell given.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right.
That's fun.
So who do we have here? Rick Mahorn. Let's see here. Oh, dude. Great Reggie
Rick Mahorn is great.
Boom.
These are pristine, man. It feels good to open up a pack of cards.
How do they smell? How do they smell? Was there bubble gum in there?
No bubble gum. No bubble. These are Fleer, man. Fleers are the cheap. They're not the like, you know, the upper decks.
Look at that. That was Horace Grant with the Magic, not with the Bulls. Horace Grant with the Magic.
Let's see here. Yeah, dude.
This is quality content.
Dude, who do we got here?
Fucking killing
Antonio Harvey.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Fred Vinson. I don't even remember Fred. I don't remember Fred Vinson.
No.
Let me see if there are any other gold ones here. Horace Grant is the.
I was
winner
11 when that deck of cards came out.
Dude.
Oh, God, drink. Every time Llama says how young he is, drink.
I think that's now the only drinking rule. We've had this lot drinking game and it's morphed, but I think the only drinking rule now is that punchline.
Just saying drink.
These are the two winners from the deck. Reggie Miller and Horace Grant.
That's not bad.
Oh, make
Reggie,
him fight.
Man.
Make him
Love
fight.
Reggie. Love Reggie. Yeah. Man.
Would my
Magic in
shirt
the
count for
90s
the
was
drinking
sweet.
game?
Oh
my
yeah,
shirt
your shirt
count
counts
for
for
the
the
drinking
drinking game. Yeah, bring up the radiators, drink.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right.
No.
Do we have another guest?
We do. All right, before I do this, because I didn't ask this last week and it got a little confusing. Brandon, you are more than welcome to hang out. I hope you do. But if you have to piece, nobody's going to judge you. But we're going to move on and make this slightly more chaotic. Everybody cool?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to
We'd
do
love
the
for you to hang out if
transition.
you can. All right.
I'm going to hope
I'm
that I
gonna
don't
stick
fuck it up,
around.
but
I hope you don't
probably
mind.
will.
Please,
No,
please stick around.
Stick around.
From New York City, he's a stand-up comedian, but he knows how to get down. Producer of Impractical Jokers on True TV and host of the Amigos podcast on Osiris, Mike Finoia.
Nice. Oh, I didn't admit him.
There he is.
Mike. I forgot to admit you before I played your intro. Did you miss it?
Mike, man, you're on mute.
Unmute Mike.
Yeah, we're good. Here we are. Hello.
There we are.
Cool. Did you miss your intro?
Hey guys, I went to the wrong section A. I was looking for your car, man. You told me you were in the East lot.
Oh, I'm glad you found us. I'm gonna have to send you your intro. I forgot to admit you before I played it. We made an intro for you and then I let you in afterwards. I don't
think there's any rule that says we can't play it again.
You guys want to play it again? Fuck it.
Play it again. Play it again.
Come
play it
on.
again. I want Mike to see it.
This is so fun. It's amateur hour. Let's do this
Amateur
again.
hour. Wait, we were just talking about. We were just doing baseball cards bits.
From New York City, he's a stand-up comedian, but he knows how to get down. Producer of Impractical Jokers on True TV and host of the Amigos podcast on Osiris, Mike Finoia.
Whoa. Yeah, Susie. Thank you for the Susie. Oh, I got chills. What's up, Brandon? Brandon's muted.
What's up, Mike? I see you
How
have
are
a
you?
professional podcaster, Mike, audio.
I do. I'm running through. I had to make do with what I had because I tried to order some new stuff, and it seems like Lysol wipes and podcasting equipment is the first stuff that's sold out on Amazon. So I have
white people quarantined. A lot of white people quarantined.
First one,
That's so
problem.
true. I'm doing. I'm using my Zoom H6 recorder, and I ended up getting a just a HDMI or a USB Pro or whatever, USB Mini to USB to go into the laptop. And
Sounds
I
good,
love
man.
having
Much
pros on
cleaner.
this show because it sounds so good.
Yeah, it sounds clean.
yeah, it's much cleaner. On my way over here, I found someone selling tree houses in the lot off a skateboard.
One for 3, 2 for 5.
One for
2
3,
for 10. These are
Oh,
special edition.
yeah, they're a little.
Shout out to Treehouse though for some
It's a
killer
whole
beers.
new world, man.
I love this, dude. This is so cool. This is such
Yeah,
a
it's
great
an
idea
interesting
for a
premise that we've stumbled upon. I mean, it's just a bunch of Wooks hanging out, but it's a cool premise. I'm really glad you came on.
Thank you
I'm
for
not going
having
to keep
me,
it
dude.
super formal, but I kind of want to just launch you up on this or maybe give you this compliment. I listened to Still Chasing right before quarantine when I was commuting, and I really dug it. That was, I guess,
Thank
the
you.
latest special. I don't know what you guys call it on Osiris, but that whole series, it was another Mike, right? That you
Mike
did that
Shields,
with? It was
yeah.
two Michaels.
So basically, and I talked to Brandon. I interviewed him. We hung at Merriweather in 19 summer. Right, geez, it seems like 100 years ago. But
Right?
yeah, Still Chasing was separate from Amigos, where it was just I wanted to release a series where it was like a bingeable, like a Netflix series where you can like rip through, and it's got like a kind of like a thesis statement and your paragraphs and your final conclusion. And I wanted to talk about turning 40, 25 years of seeing shows, why I do it, why I chase the moments that Phish and live music in general like provide me. And I had a lot of stuff that has happened to me over the years and a lot of experiences that I wanted to put into this larger piece, almost like an audible documentary. And like my experience meeting Ken Kesey at Darien Lake and how that changed my life and going on the road and all these wild things and interviews with other fans and Mike Shields, who's the host of Welcome to the Party Pal, which is a movie and TV centric podcast.
That's on Osiris
and
also, right?
yeah, and Across the Margin, where he talks to authors and literary people, and he's also part of the Godween Evan gang. That's a Ween podcast. But he worked with me because we both have the same tenure, and we both had the same kind of I talked to him about the idea. And it starts kind of Fear and Loathing-y, where like I'm in Vegas and the Star Trek convention happens. And that made me realize that it doesn't matter what gets you off. It's just it's having something that provides moments that you want to chase. And it was so fun. And I thank you so much for listening. And it's out still on iTunes.
I dug it. It was.
I love doing it,
sorry,
man.
I mean, Mike, I'm a new at this.
No, you didn't cut me off.
You are. No, it's real. I mean, you blow smoke up your guest's ass a little bit, right? Like you want everybody to feel good, but I genuinely believe that content is like it's top notch. I really enjoyed. I mean, I enjoy Amigos. I actually was on Amigos, but Still Chasing, I really thought was excellent.
I appreciate that, man.
Production.
Brandon, he was blowing smoke up your ass when he said he loved Bro Bible. He really means it with Mike. With you,
I'm jealous of Brandon. Brandon is like
me too.
Us, but done right.
Right, exactly.
Bro Bible is essentially what we're doing, but just really professional and well executed. This is like the JV of Bro Bible.
I have a question for Mike.
All right,
What's
Llama,
up,
let's
dude?
hear from you.
Let's let Llama in.
All right. Did Osiris Media set out to be the ringer for jam band fans?
What do you think of Bill Simmons?
I don't even know what that means, but I
the
will
ringer
take
for
this up.
jam band. I have no clue.
He was making a Bill Simmons callback to a joke we had earlier.
But it's also true though, because like the ringer's for sports fans, but then it has avenues dedicated for such specific niches.
Well, I can only speak for myself, and actually, I talked to Brandon a lot about this because him and I, when I go to LA to do stand up, we've hung. He brought me out for some amazing tacos one night, and where the hell were we, Brandon? Somewhere near Hollywood or Venice. Yeah, near the airport, some fucking where aliens land. But I wanted to do. I'm a comic, and every comedian has a podcast, and I wanted to focus on my other life, being the music world, and bring some humor to it, and interview comedians about the music they love, and interview musicians about the comedy. And Osiris just seemed like the right place for it, and I'm happy to be there. And but still chasing is something that I feel like was even separate from that, where it was like, I like the idea of being able to, people have gotten in touch with me that like listen to it and they're like, I don't like Phish and I never will, but I totally understand what you were getting at there, because, you know, whatever 311 when they were kids was like the thing that got them there, or Panic or Ween or Tool or wrestling.
No, it's definitely a universal theme, right? I think it's like, it's the essence of humanity. It's the drive. And I personally, that's what I dig about Phish, is it really it captures that drive. And that's what I think I enjoyed about that show.
Thank you.
Trying to identify that. So after you've gone through it now, you've had a couple of months separated from it. Can you concisely identify why you do this? Have you been able to figure out why we do this?
Yeah, I actually think I can. I think it's because I think that it is one of the only times in my life where the critic in my brain is completely silent. Like when I'm at a show, the minute that I'm in the parking lot, the minute that I'm, the minute they announce tour, it's like my favorite distraction from myself. And the fact that the music is different every show and the set is different every show, but the experience is still kind of the same. That's what does it for me. And I think that gave me almost kind of like, I gave myself permission to keep going. You know what I mean? Because doing comedy, I had to like, in the beginning of doing stand-up, I had to like skip a shitload of Phish because I work on nights and weekends, and I can't travel to do shows when I'm trying to get my own brand and my own name, whatever, going. So I would like work my ass off to try to like get as far as I could so I could start going back to shows. Like that was my motivation, was to get back to seeing, a lot of Phish. But I think that it's having the experience that we all have experienced, but we have a hard time putting into words, where it's like when you're under the lights and 30,000 of your friends are all screaming at the same time when Kuroda opens up the white lights on you.
Now more than ever, I miss that. I mean, I always valued it as an important part of my life. I think we all did, right? Everybody in this room right now can appreciate that. But when you're isolated and we have this whole situation, I really kind of miss that. I'm curious actually how life as a stand-up and, as a comic, how has it been with the isolation? You're in New York, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm out. Yeah, a little bit outside in New York.
But you're isolated. You're in a region that you're not in one of the states that have opened.
No,
right?
no. And if it did, I'm not ready to open anyway. But
no, that's a whole other conversation, not for the lot. But
yeah, well, not doing stand-up blows. I didn't realize how medicinal it was to get up on stage and talk. And it's been over 2 months now since I've done a set, which is the longest I've gone. The TV show Impractical Jokers that I'm a producer for is and obviously on hiatus as well, because all TV production is off, but it's like that show in particular, you need a crowd. I don't know if any of you watch it, but it's like put your nose on a guy and drink out of someone's drink and stuff like that, which is shit that'll get you.
Oh, bingo! When you don't have a bingo, that's still one of my favorites, dude. It's a classic.
Dude. And I wrote for the show Inside Jokes the past couple of years, which was like the pop-up video of Impractical Jokers, and I would sneak in a whole bunch of stuff for the heads. Like I would try to throw Spock's brain in there every now and then, and throw like lines to songs and stuff, and Simpsons nuggets. But right now, I mean, I hate not having comedy, but my wife's an ICU. She's a nurse practitioner, and she's working in the intensive care unit and with COVID patients. So right now, really, like I have to pretty much like whatever I'm dealing with is secondary. Like I just want to make sure she's okay, and I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the healthcare.
Please. Let's all do that for Mike's wife and everybody. No bullshit.
Yeah, dude, it's they're the real heroes, and the people who are working bagging groceries and delivering food and delivering packages and all that stuff, God bless you and thank you. So I'm dying to get back to stand up, but I want to do it in the in the proper way. And I'd love
When
to
it's safe for everybody.
Mike, can I ask you, are you trying to write right now? I mean, how hard is it right now?
I mean, I've had a couple of like thoughts that I've thrown online that I thought would have been funny jokes. Like, I said, like, my wife's a nurse, so every time she comes home, I boo her, like, just to keep her honest.
Right? Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that might have been a fun thing to say on.
They are getting a big
That was
head.
great.
They are getting a big head. I mean, come on, nurses.
Enough's enough.
It's a solid joke.
Now, but it's
I think
okay.
it's
Yeah,
solid, but it would be hard to sell right now.
Right, but right.
So
But I am
you're-
writing. I am writing, but I'm not writing a ton of jokes.
When you're doing stand up, I guess you're saying something like a live show from your living room wouldn't work because you need the crowd to work off.
I've tried to do I was asked to do one to raise awareness for the census with the band Hozier, and instead of doing a set, I kind of followed in the footsteps of the bands that we love, and I said, hey, you know what, instead of me doing a 10-minute set, here's a 15-minute video from 2018 at Gotham Comedy Club in New York, and I just gave them a live set, and I did an intro. I recorded the intro, and then they played that set. So it was kind of like how Dinner and a Movie is, where we're watching old stuff instead of the four guys getting together in their respective living rooms and trying to put together a set. So I don't like the idea. I feed off the crowd quite a bit, but I have conversations with friends about comedy, and I think it parlays comedy and our love of Phish and live music is so paralleled, because like the things I freak out about right now with comedy, and Brandon, we've talked about this a ton too. There's the road, and then there's the city, right? So the city is New York and LA, and the road is everywhere else in between. Going on the road and doing comedy, it's like go to an airport, fly to a town, get an Uber or a rental car, go to a hotel, check into the hotel, hit the elevator buttons, like go up to your room, stay in a room where you don't know if it's clean or what, eat at a restaurant.
It's not clean. That. I mean,
and then go to the club, then go do shows, talk to the staff, figure out all that stuff, fly home. Like, to me, that's a terrifying, that's a nightmare right now to me to even think about. So I think about that with tour too.
So many musicians have caught it, right, in some ways, because they live that same life.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, I want to share this with you, because I think just everything you're talking about, you're going to relate to on this level pretty well. And I don't want to make this about me, but I got to sit down one time with Trey Anastasio. I worked for the Second City for like 20 years. I was a music director, so I'm into comedy and improv and things like that. And I got to sit down with Trey one time. It was after the Saturday Night Live show at the after party. And him and he was so interested in the rhythm of improv comedy, and I was so interested, and like we found all of these parallels between music and comedy, and the rhythms and the way the ensemble interacts. I know you're a stand-up. I don't know how much improv experience you have, but like, have you found that like
scared to death of it?
Oh, come on out next time you're out in LA.
I did it once with the guys, the Impractical Jokers writers. We had a show called Staff Infection at UCB.
Okay.
And I did it once, and I felt so uncomfortable. I don't know how improv is like. I mean, and even like I like doing crowd work and shit, but like I don't know how people do like yell out like, "Oh, you're a potato in the Revolutionary War," and then you act it out, and then you do like forget about it. There's no way. But it's one of the fun things, like you mentioned about Trey. Like, I love talking to musicians about how much they thrive on comedy when they're on the road. Like Ryan Stasek from Humphreys, O'Teal and I have become real close friends, and we talk a lot about how, like when they're on the road or when they're stressed out, they go watch stand-up specials, and it's like so cool, because it's like when I'm on the road, all I do is listen to music.
Right.
So it's kind of neat to have that, and it's really cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting relationship.
The chat has a question too for since
the chat
mentioned hotel. Yeah. There's a few people that want to know, Mike, where did you get your shirt?
Where'd I get this shirt?
Oh, that's dope.
Yes.
I got this shirt.
That's dope.
I got this in the lot at Dick's in this past year. Lost in Finoia is I think if you Google that company, they're the ones that that make this. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite shirt, and Oteil's one of my favorite people in the world. So yeah, they make really kick-ass dead shirts, and yeah, got it in the lot.
I'm imagining you got it in the lot at Dick's at some other random band, like it was like Taylor Swift or something like that. You were going to see a Taylor Swift show, and somebody was just selling an Oteil shirt.
Yeah, I got I got it at a rodeo.
I'm pretty sure my wife has the hots for Oteil. I shouldn't say that live, but Oteil's awesome.
No, I think let's dig into that a little bit.
We're gonna see a lot more of Tim than we have been. No.
We went to a Vita Blues show, pre-pandemic, and Oteil. I don't know, man. I came out and I was like, "Oh my God, Paige was amazing," and she's like, "Dude, the bass player."
He's the man, dude.
Oteil's
just throw that one thing.
You got a Vita Blue poster, fam?
Brandon.
Fam.
That is sick.
Oh, he was
December 20th show at the Forum that we were at.
Oteil came.
Those Viola Lees. That was some amazing.
So good.
Amazing. Like I've never seen anything like that. And a lot of dead shows. And that whole second set. I mean, that was something special.
Oh, the third Vicodin kicked in. This is awesome, man. I am so happy right now. Oh God.
Here before, but our buddy Travis up there, he just had a root canal, so
whoa,
we're on stage as a Viking for this right now.
Wow,
we're on 3.
Wait, who over here? Top right. We're next to.
We're all different. Yeah.
You're the Alice in the Brady Bunch of my lot hang. Did you guys happen to see there was a concert in what was it, Arkansas yesterday, or a couple days ago?
Oh no,
really?
Some country singer. It was the first post-quarantine concert.
Was it a standard concert? How did they do it?
So if you go on like any of the music, I think like even like Live for Live Music or Consequence of Sound, or some of them, they had stuff. Everyone was sat in what was called fan pods, where it was like you and 3 or 4 people that you came with, and then there were like 6 feet of empty seats around everybody. They showed pictures of the bathroom, and it was like 1 out of every 4 urinals was open, and the rest were like caution taped off.
That sounds like hell,
dude. I know.
No, it really what it is it's tarping legitimized. That's what it sounds like to me. It's like, let's
really
take the concept of tarping and making it mainstream.
It's like if Gallagher was music. Yeah, it sounds to me like it was rushed and premature and shitty, to be honest. And everybody got their temperature taken before they came in, and you had to wear a mask. And it was like the lead singer of some country.
Some precautions, but
how about just wait? You know?
I know, I agree, and I feel I don't know. I don't want to get political on this show. It's not the point of the lot, right? That's usually the rule. You don't talk politics or physics on the lot. Sorry, I was a physics major. But
I heard an interesting thing that I thought like applies to like both comedy and music, that we're potentially going to see the resurgence of like residency as a device for like what performers do, which I think is like really, really interesting, where, it minimizes risk a little bit, like for everyone, where, all right, performer sets them just like the Baker's dozen, you know what I mean?
In LA, we're just going to have a run of like shows by the Higgs. We're just going to be all Higgs heads after this is all over. Yeah. We'll just be every night at the Echo.
I think it's like a fascinating thing for comedy too, where like, all right, you're going to do 12 nights, you're going to do 12 nights in your 3 biggest markets. And
yeah, man, I do believe that, it's going to be the golden age for the local, a lot of comics. It's like you crush it in the area you're from. If you're from Columbus, Ohio, you do the best you can do in Columbus and the surrounding areas before you move to Chicago or New York or LA. I feel like the people who are in those regional areas are going to have a really like a golden time right now to help their career, because they're going to open clubs before a lot of touring comics are going to be ready to go out on the road. So they're going to like go, okay, let's try to open. Let's get that local guy that headlines to come do 3-4 nights, whatever. And that's going to be great for that person, I think. But that's going to be, I think, phase one. You know what I mean? And I think that the road is going to open up before the city, because I don't know how New York City is a very
New York's going to be last. I mean, it has to be. It's sad in a way, but it's also appropriate. Like,
it's probably cleaner than ever.
I don't want to derail this, but I'm curious because you brought up Impractical Jokers and your role as a producer. And one thing I think of as a layman, you know, just plain old American, whatever, is TV production and movie production. There's still content coming out, right? Because there's a calendar, there's a lead time, right? Like there's stuff that was pre-produced. Are we very close? I feel personally like we're very close to the brink where we pass what was already pre-produced and we don't have anything else. And it's all this. It's all Zoom calls and weird remote meetings. And I don't know if you're a true insider, right? Like I don't know, but like you have a better perspective than I do. What are your thoughts about where TV and movies and media, not the outside, but like the actual corporate cable media is headed?
Invest your money in animation. I think that's, I think cartoons don't have to be socially distant. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that is going to be big. I think that a lot of these kind of like the show I did where it was like behind the scenes, like facts and stuff, you know, kind of armchair quarterback type things where it's like retrospective, looking back at like stuff that was filmed already. I think those might take a bit of a spike, you know, because you don't have to be anywhere to film them. But I think podcasting and, you know, I think that's a huge world still that, I mean, and not the podcasting we know where it's like you listen to an hour of someone interview someone. I think it's we're going back to old timey radio a little bit in the sense that like, you know,
a lot of ways we're going old time, right? Like,
yeah.
Part of me, I'm not dismissing the severity of the situation, but part of me is a little bit excited about the return to a simpler, I don't know, family-based, hanging out, slow down, the pause, like
that part's good about it for sure. I mean, the virus is the bad part,
right?
And the deaths and the suffering and
and those,
the lack of shows and stuff. But yeah,
Mike, don't let your wife see me smoking, okay?
It's cool. She's nowhere to be found.
Okay, sweet. I just want to keep it on the down low.
She ran off for the doctor.
Well,
cool.
Speaking of like, I mean, Phish gives you, I mean, the one thing about Phish has to give you amazing amount of content for stand-up for a stand-up comedian, right? Like I've seen your bit about the kids that came, you know, and you know, and partied and melted, you know, and all that. Like it's so funny. And again, this is such a community that is, you know, open to that, and also has to give you amazing amount of inspiration for comedy. In some ways.
I think more in the like the hang of it all. My favorite part of a show is like just being with fun people that are like-minded and not having to try too hard to be anything, you know. And if I can take that to the stage, then mission accomplished. But material wise, it's like I try to talk about Phish, but it's like, you know, a lot of people are just, you know, that's why I did Still Chasing and whatever. But like, you know, like I'll give you an example. Like Brandon and I, like we hung out in Merriweather and recorded an episode of Amigos. And dude, how kick-ass we went up in this like private, like rooftop, like lounge in my hotel.
It was ridiculous.
We're drinking beers. We were like eating like amazing food, and we just started bullshitting. But like we had talked before, but we never like hung out in person. And the minute that we got in the same room, it's like long lost brothers that haven't seen each other in forever. And that's the lot. That's the aisle you're in. That's the line for beer. That's the whole reason why we do this shit, dude.
I'm gonna jump in on that. And I hope it's not awkward and you don't completely forget, but I actually had an episode with you on Amigos, and I
do remember. That was great.
I felt that with you. I had never spoken to you before that day.
Do you want us to leave you guys alone, the three of you? We can all just get out of here, and you guys
Chad.
can all just have a big
I want to move
jerk
on to let's talk
yeah,
lot dogs.
Lot dogs. best lot dog. Gorge 93.
Ooh, lot dogs.
New
Like hot
plan for
dogs
the
or
lot.
animal dogs?
Animals.
Boo.
I'm gonna mute and let Chad take over the show because he's
I'm not
a fucktard.
I'm not taking this shit anymore. No.
No, you know what? Fuck it. I had a great conversation with Mike.
No, I'm joking.
We did have a good time. And
I felt very natural with you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I had never spoken with you before, and I've done a couple of different things, and you're a very easy person to talk to. You're a great host. Your podcast is great. And again, not blowing smoke up your ass, but the reason I think it is great is because you're approachable, right? You're just a fan. You're just one of us. You're just a guy hanging out a lot, fucking seeing Phish, talking shit, talking music, and everything's cool. You know, I don't know. I think that you're very approachable.
It's what we're trying to recreate here in some ways. It's like our thing,
right.
You know,
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's really
it's an
cool.
inspiration.
And then I look at what you do, Wook, and I'm like, how the fuck does this dude make? I don't know how the hell you like take like the 13th minute of a tube jam versus a Pebbles jam from, and I'm like, I don't know, this guy. I'm taking shits, and I'm just like, I can't believe that the things that this guy accomplished.
We shouldn't say that live, right? But I'm faking it.
Well, one thing, Mike. You know, Mike, I'm wondering. You've been on bills with other comedians, before. How annoyed do you get when somebody uses Phish as a punchline? It seems to come up so often. Like, there's
if it's just the pothead dumb reference,
right,
or like Conan had one once that was amazing about the Grateful Dead. He said it was about the 30 Trips Around the Sun box set. He's like, it's like a 30-something disc, whatever. So it's 2.5 songs, which I thought, it's funny.
Yeah.
Because just Conan's delivery. But if Fallon did it or something, I'd be like, ugh,
I think
it's somewhat researched, right? Like, you at least kind of get it.
There's a head on every writing team. There has to be a head on every writing team.
I think Lil Dicky just made a joke on his show about Phish. They were listening to some Phish jam, and like the guy he was listening to was like, oh man, this is really cool. When did they stop warming up? That kind of stuff. I'm like, I always get a little bit like, I'm like, okay, solid joke, but at my expense. It's like, you got to kind of take one there.
I've gotten over that.
Yeah, I love that stuff because I think that goes to show you that the kind of rings of Phish fandom and like how it has touched even just people that you never expected to touch. That it's even being brought up. And that to me is really interesting. Like, Little Dicky grew up in the Philly burbs and was in college around the time of the reunion in 2009. And it's you realize it's all time and place and importance,
Yeah,
totally. That's true.
And I don't even think it's just writing teams. I mean, I'm an engineer, and coming from corporate America or whatever, I think every team in America has a head, whether it's a Deadhead or a Phish. Yeah. There's one of us. There's some Wook on every team. That's what's kind of cool to me. It's not just comedians and content producers. We're firefighters and nurses, but we're also corporate. The heads are everywhere, right?
Wook Plus has gone far past the quota, though. I will say we have gone far past the quota on that.
Guys, I'm sorry, Mike.
No. Go ahead.
No, it's that's what's great about the lot, right? You never know you do know who's going to show up, but you never know when they're going to show up. We have our next guest, Mike. I said the same thing to Brandon. I hope you hang out. If you have a piece at any point, not a problem, but I would like to welcome. This time I'm going to admit her first and then play the video. Sorry, I fucked that up for you. All right, let's do this whole procedure. Let's see how I've not fucked it up.
Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Dig. Team Sparkle member and very pro Wook. It's Groove Safe founder Ashley Driscoll.
That was. Oh wait, here we go.
Did I mess it up? Ashley, welcome. I think I did all right. How you doing?
Did okay.
You have to unmute.
You're
her
on
so
mute,
she-
by the way.
Unmute
I gotta
her.
fix that setting. Every time a guest comes in, they're automatically put on mute.
Hey, thank you. That was awesome.
Hi.
I'm not like pro Zoomer. I'm just trying to avoid these things, except for this is really exciting. So
Yeah, we're actually not either. We're figuring this shit out as we go.
mostly because I don't have like work from home, so I've been it's mostly with friends or family, so it's pretty usually casual. So this is my style, so I'm into this right now.
It's always
Yes.
fun watching a grandmother try to figure it out, and all you see is like, "Is it on? Can you see me?" Back up, Peeb.
Yeah, my uncle did it recently. My grandmother's 95 and she's talking to my mom on it, and my uncle was like way over here being like, Diane, so can you hear me? Can you hear us? It's pretty much the same, anyways. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's all new, but it's good that we have it.
Yeah, no, and I'm really pumped to have you on the show. Welcome. This is the Wook Plus crew and Mike Finoia and Brandon Wenerd. How do you
Hi.
pronounce that?
Yeah, it's Wenerd. You the
Wenerd.
latter. Yeah.
All right, I got close.
Wenard sounds
he
very
called you-
like pro surfer.
He called you Wenerd before we came on accident. I'm just
That's
selling him
okay.
out right now.
There's-
I'm selling him out right
There's
now.
nothing.
No, he
There's
wasn't
nothing
calling.
I haven't heard in my adult life that I didn't hear when I was like 7.
True.
At this point in
True.
time.
I'm trying so hard.
You are
guys.
doing
I
so
really
great.
am.
You're
I'm
doing
doing
great.
the best I
You're
can.
doing fantastic, Wook.
All right, so those of you who don't know, and I think most of us here know, Ashley has founded probably my favorite organization community-wise. I really dig what you're doing. She is the founder of Groove Safe. I don't want to butcher this, so I'm going to hand it over. I want to hear from you, from the founder, what Groove Safe is, what it's all about,
Sure.
where you are, where you're going.
Yeah, that's
me
awesome.
your
I mean,
spiel.
I can't promise I won't butcher it because I can't stop looking at you guys. I don't know how to focus on it. But so Groove Safe is a 501c3 nonprofit. The mission is to stop unwanted touching at shows focused on stopping sexual misconduct and groping, grabbing, grinding, inappropriate touch at concerts specifically. So anywhere there's live music, we're trying to reteach how important consent is, and that most people want to interact but want to be asked first, and maybe they don't interact, but it's up to them. Basically, it's their body, not your body. So you don't want to be touching people without them having the choice, pretty much. And something important is that we are gender neutral. I think that's something that people may not understand right away. Maybe as a woman being the founder, and women rally around it because I think that statistically a lot of women are grabbed more than men. However, I find it really important that everybody be included, just in my inclusive nature as it is, but also of the stories and feedback, I guess, that I get. You'd be probably very surprised to hear the amount of those who identify as males that do encounter this. So, I mean, we can talk about what all that really means, but the basic concept would be to just have people be aware that this is happening and that it's not okay, and that consent is always necessary. And kind of giving, I guess it's really the opportunity to give people a voice to speak up, because it is
Sure.
pretty scary, especially it's considered trauma or, traumatic.
No, it's I mean, I don't want to use inappropriate language. It's a
okay,
lot.
I'm not prude.
No, it's fucking terrifying because, I mean, at least in my experience, I'm going to talk for a second, but in my experience, I go with my wife and my friends, and we personally within our group don't witness it, right? We're very isolated. We do our lot scene, we go on show. everything's great. And then you actually brought to my attention, I thought that this was happening. And when I first kind of really thought about it, it was like, what the fuck? Right? Like, it's super fucked up. And I personally had an experience because I'm not doing it. And my wife, obviously, like, we're in a big group, but not everybody's in that situation. Obviously, there's like women that are going on their own or whatever the situation is. And I think that it's really appropriate, and I don't know.
I think
when you bring that attention, it was like, it was really enlightening, and I think it's a great message for you to bring forward.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's a great, obvious message. Like, what's the best way you promote that message? Like, how do you do it? Like, on the lot? Do you hand out flyers? Do you just like, what do you do?
So far, so it pretty much started kind of me talking to people online and trying to see, because it was happening to me, so I figured it was happening to other people. So I went and kind of started looking into the Phish groups. I mean, we're all in Phish groups and everything, and that's my passion, and that's where my music career kind of is, but since has expanded into more bands from there. But I would talk to a lot of the people in the Phish community, and they were saying, yeah, it happens to us as well, this situation, that situation, and then we started promoting at festivals and on Phish tour, but it's more of an official platform with like a booth at a festival. And the other thing that's really important outside of just Phish is that we have, I think it's almost 70 artist ambassadors now. So there's 70 bands who take the material. For those watching, this is the logo, so you're remembering what we're talking about. Groove Safe here. So they take the materials on the road on their band merchandise tables, so it sort of sets the mood in the room from the artist perspective.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So from the Phish tour thing, though, it's really just like fan art, art exhibitions, and just us on lot. But a lot of things we do is there's starter packs on our website, so people can pledge a certain amount of money, and then I will mail them things to hand out to their friends and their people, and to send the message along. So it's because it did start grassroots. I mean, one day I was like, I either don't go to shows or we fix this. And I obviously wouldn't want to stop seeing music, and right now we have to, and I'm like. And
you had personal experiences with that, right? Like, that's where this stemmed out of. This was something that impacted you on a personal level.
Multiple. I felt like everybody experiences these things differently, but for me, it was happening all of the time with small incidences. Bumping, grabbing, like ass grabs, and I'm just like, what the heck is happening? And then I had a more severe where someone tried to put their hand in under my skirt while I was dancing, getting down to a Phish groove, and I was like, nope. So that's when I said I went out and started to talk to like Twitter and Facebook and say, you guys here, are we together on this? And and so people either said they didn't know at all what was happening, or thank God we can finally talk about it. And that's what I want to like destigmatize, that we're able to just like, this is weird. Like, please keep your hands to yourself. Did you want to say something? I'd love to hear what your head thought.
I was just go ahead, Kevin. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old daughter, and the things that I hear from them at the middle school, high school level make me think that what you're doing is great, but there needs to be a cultural change back at that level, because these kids and these boys are learning this at that age.
Right. Hopefully our community now are those parents. So maybe we're able to share that way, and then they can teach their children. For example, you literally right now telling me that. So I think that is the way to maybe start to talk about it. And I'm always open to talk to anybody. I think that's part of it. Is not knowing what to say.
You could do like a lot version of Scared Straight, like bring some kids to shows and like have them like put them in a group and just be like, this is what you don't do. It's really sad to see, like, when you're hanging out and there's like 4 or 5 cars away in the lot, even when you just see people getting like, triple fisting and pulling funnels out, and you're like, oh, well, we know where the problem's going to be tonight. I mean, it's just, you could tell.
And hopefully that behavior though, like, intoxication and you know, I don't know, clothing and all that stuff is misconcepts that we try to break down, because yeah, they're probably going to be more after bad behavior, but that sexual misconduct in any of those things should be when you wake up in the morning, just like I always say, like, you don't touch a hot stove. It's in your brain, like, already.
Sure,
Red means no, like red means no. So the level of intoxication should not affect the behavior that you
I mean, I've been wasted at shows and I've never grabbed ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like, I think that
of course, but there are people
Let's
who
be
Right.
fucking
Sure, of
honest.
course.
It's not an excuse.
Right.
Like, I'm
No, of
listening to
course.
her and I'm getting emotional because, like, I'm thinking about my wife. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
my daughter. It's not a fucking excuse. There's no excuse.
No,
There's zero excuse.
People
to
are
do
always
that
reaching
kind of
to
shit.
try to figure it out. Why is it happening? And it's the natural thing is to say, oh, when they're fucked up, they're gonna, you know,
Right.
and
No,
then
but-
it's easy for me to teach through that, because it's really not, doesn't have to be the way.
Hey, Ashley, I have a question. Are you, is the organization like going to grow or work with like groups in other like music communities? Like,
Outside of Phish or what?
well, outside of like the general jam community, like, you know, music is so, you know, fan endemic to like, you know, genres and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, well,
and,
it's a
and I'm
problem.
just curious.
Go ahead.
It's a problem obviously everywhere, but I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious if like there are like efforts to go into like the country music scene and everything else like that,
Right. So
where there's, you know, obviously is the same issue.
what I can tell you there is that previously we've done peer and festivals, the street teaming bands, and now 2020, our plans for 2020 were venue proposals, and we had that engaged and going. Unfortunately, it's on pause, but we had the signage going up in venue bathrooms across the country, actually. I did a short tour with Haley Jane and Annie in the Water in February, and we did 10 venues where I helped with the merch, but I also had a Groove Safe table and had conversations and meetings with the GMs and the venue managers of every stop of the way, promoting this venue partnership. And then we were also, I had plans, I already spoke to 3 high up members of Live Nation for a Boston area beta project that we were gonna have at, maybe I shouldn't say it, but at local Boston Live Nation, we were gonna be part of their training program and also have signage at their events. So I guess that would cover the idea that it could be in all music, because genres expand throughout the venue. You could have, I don't know, you know, all.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, I always think about that, like how, like, you know, what, you know, jam band community is so community based.
Yeah.
Like, whereas it feels like other music communities really aren't, but the message is still really important. Like, to have, you know, to spread that kind of ethos, like, to it, you know?
Right, exactly. And that was what I was saying, is I didn't want to hit a wall, because I want to be all genres. We say all genders, all genres, because it's exactly what I want to be, because there's way more than us. we don't always think that, but you know, because a venue can see 4 nights a week of completely different music.
Yeah, it's
you know, so
and
that's,
I just want to jump in here and say that as like 8 dudes in here with you, like, it is so important that all of us as guys spread this word to other guys. Like, we have to be, but like, nobody in this particular room, I think, is like that, but we know it exists, and we have to do better about like making that shit stop. Like, just have a good time, keep your shit to yourself, man. You know, it's like,
or really ask. That's why I say, I'm like, it's kind of awkward, but you can probably just ask.
Hey, can I grab your ass? No,
I've had it, and I've said yes.
All right,
Wow.
It might be cool.
I'm guessing Mexico, maybe. I'm guessing, or
No, I've never been to
No,
Phish.
a bikini.
No, I mean, I'm like, it's not funny, but it really kind of is. But I honestly want to try to change that conversation.
Yeah.
One of our supporters, Mark Brownstein from the Disco Biscuits, we were joking one day, and I was like, before this whole Trump thing, but it was like, we were like, make awkward cool again. But I don't like to use that phrasing because I just don't want to ever talk about it. But
right.
Right.
We were trying to say like awkwardness let's bring it back. We're all weird, man. Let's be serious.
Can you use rock the awkward?
Rock
the awkward.
Rockward.
That's actually not
Rockward.
bad.
Rockward.
Yeah, awkward.
I mean, basically, the
Shortest
story,
distance to the
let's
punch.
do things that we aren't, oh, I'm not going to ask a girl to dance. I'm like, why? Please do. Actually, that would be great.
And then if she says no, just go fuck off somewhere.
Please,
Just,
please stop.
Yeah,
like,
right.
No is no and it's no. And, it doesn't mean stick around and like ask if you, just take it and understand it. And most people just want to see the music. I had someone tell me once that it was a ballad and it was Phish and they were just chilling. It was a slow song and they had their eyes closed and someone came from behind them and kissed them on the mouth and walked away. And I wanted to know what about that moment was an invitation to that person and why. Okay, so I'm saying is like, yeah, if you guys are grabbing, there might be mixed messages, and that's something that we're trying to figure out where that lies. But that moment, there was nothing that made sense to me that would ever. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm really trying to get to the bottom of those aggressive, helping yourself sort of things. Like, it's just unfair.
Have you had any? Like I spoke to, when I was recording Still Chasing, I spoke to some guys that were involved with Fellowship, and they said that, like the band had like come out and said like they don't like actually 100 like they don't say like we're supporting the group, but they know about it and they're supporting their initiative. Have you had any like feedback from the band at all?
Not specifically. I've talked to Bella a handful of times, and she is a supporter, and so she lets me know that they know, and
that's awesome.
They know that it's an initiative. I haven't spoken to them directly. I was sort of waiting to get a little bit. So this is 2017 that I started. 2018 I got my logo, my website and everything really all done. And then 2019 was when I got the 501c3 status. So this summer was supposed to be the kind of like really push for branding and I don't know, whatever. So I was, that stuff is like right there. I'm just waiting I'm also waiting for a team because it's been mostly me. M-Dog Mike Manning has been a huge help for me on tour. And
Dog has to come on a lot. I am so fascinated by him.
Yeah, he's on a Twitter break, I think. So yeah, but he's been unbelievable. And like you guys said before, having a male perspective, a male vice president is a huge look, I think, because it really means.
Yeah, I mean, if you see somebody acting like an asshole, you just stop them. I mean, I think that's how I've always, that's how we should operate. Yeah. If you see someone acting like an idiot, even if it's like not a sexual thing, if it's just someone like fighting or somebody, this isn't where you do it.
And in my experience, it often doesn't take much more than just saying, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like calling the guy out, just being like, bro, stop.
Yeah.
I know.
That's all it really takes. It's not going to end in a fight. It's not going to end. Usually it just ends in like, oh yeah. Okay.
It's funny that tonight, Dinner and Movies, a 97 show. I started going to shows in 95. And I remember going to like Dave Matthews concerts and stuff like that when I was like in high school, 15, 16, 17 years old. And I mean, just seeing college kids from like the local frats and sororities and just like the way like everyone hanging out and everything, it just seemed so different. Now as an adult going, it's like you were talking about, you have daughters that are middle school and high school age. And like, I'm there to like, I don't want anything. Like, even when my wife's with me, I'm just like, okay, you stand there, I'm standing here. I just want to see the music and not think for a minute, And it's just really amazing how perspective.
I took them to Merriweather a couple times, and they were only maybe 13 and 10 at the time, and I was still creeped out by some of the looks.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, and it's something I always say is I'm there for the show, and I felt like this all the time, and I'm like, why are my shoulders in my ears? And I realized this because I was always on guard. I'm always looking around me, behind me, and whatever. But we're trying to Groove Safe is supposed to trying to bring that focus back to the stage, because that's the reason we're trying to see music and not always have to be watching out for everybody. I mean, before you were mentioning ways to handle it, and I want to make sure that I say that I don't agree with assault, because that's just, you don't address assault with assault. However, there are bystander like intervention techniques, either distract or the direct is the hey bro. That's like direct, they call it.
Is that the best approach? I mean,
I think distracting is my favorite, because you can, first of all, never go to the offender unless you're feeling safe and comfortable. It's important for everyone hearing that. But a lot of times you can go to the person in distress, ask them a simple question. Usually it can be like, what's the name of this song? It could be bouncing around the room playing. You just think of something. What's the name of this song again?
Great idea.
If they need you, they'll keep their attention on you. If they're all set, they'll go back and engage in what they were doing. Because a lot of times they're like, I don't know if it's their boyfriend and I'm like, just ask them a quick question. Do you have any gum?
That's good. That's a good
Nice.
advice.
Great
And
advice.
then you'll know if they need you. And that's when you get the cue to either, all right, hey, come with me. I'm gonna grab a water. Let's go. Or, all right, cool. Have a nice show. See ya. Bye.
That happened to my niece at a bluegrass show. I could tell that she was in a situation, and I did exactly that. I was sort of like, hey man, hey, you want to come check out this thing over here? Like, isn't this cool? And she's like, yes, I absolutely do. And so that really works. It's a great.
Chad's awesome improv.
I'm really good. I'm Team Groove Safe. I'm giving $5 right now.
All are. We have to be. It's not, it's all of us.
Yeah,
So
right.
let's take
No, I
everybody.
agree. Hey, Ashley, just really quick, what's the website for everybody?
Groovesafe.com.
That's too complicated. Could you simplify it a little bit?
I bought it early on. I was like, this is it. I got it. Yeah, so groovesafe.com has all the links. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And there's obviously not a ton going on right now, but I've been trying to do that. Quarantine kindness is a way to keep relevant, because the online communities are getting a little toxic as people get bored and trolly. So we're trying to be able to remind people that take a beat when you're posting online. Most of the time it's not worth it, and just there's no reason to be rude and mean.
Right.
But so
I'm gonna speak for the Wook Plus crew, and if any of you disagree with me, you're welcome to get the fuck out of here. But you have an ally in us. I am thrilled that you agreed to come on the show, and
I'm happy to be here.
I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you. Like, I knew it was important, but I didn't realize how emotional I was to this, like how connected I was when you started speaking about it all. Like, it really, I really appreciate what you're doing, and whatever we can do as a semi-professional bullshit.
Yeah.
Whatever we are your ally in this, because I mean, my daughter and my wife, and not just them, but like all of these women and people, not just women, like all, it's very emotional to me, and we are committed to be your ally, and anything you need from us, you let us know. We are on your side.
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm gonna actually step back because I can't believe how emotional I am. I'm
okay, all right, Tim, stop.
All right.
Are you doing the improv now?
My God.
I'm sorry.
Get it together, my man. Get it together a little bit.
I didn't expect it, but it's.
Are you the one on the Viking?
How many Manhattans? Well, no, I understand that too. Like, I don't have kids or anything.
As an uncle,
dude.
As an uncle,
I understand.
You think about
anybody that has a connection knows that.
No, I get it. I get it,
dude. I mean, people.
You guys, if your friends are chilling and there's an incident, the whole mood blows up, and everyone's like, "Oh, this sucks." Like,
right.
So you don't have to even know the person, even your group, and then there's just a weird vibe, and like, no, please stop. Like, let's just enjoy it. We're here for the music. We want to continue to be watching and not having to look over our shoulder and worry about our safety at concerts. Like, that's our happy time. We don't need to have that.
Yeah.
That's why I go to shows with Brandon, because he's my He's my bodyguard. He stands, he creates. I've been social distancing way before coronavirus. So Brandon's my invisible fence.
Yeah, hopefully we're all watching concerts 6 feet apart from each other and this problem solves itself. You know what I'm saying?
Do you guys, isn't it strange
Yeah.
watching these shows? Like you watch Tuesday night shows and you see like everybody like
I know,
inches
it's
from
gross.
each other, and it's like, and I think about that even like with stand up. It's like, I mean, not that long ago, it was like when you're on stage, the first row is like 2 feet from your face, 3 feet from your face in some of these clubs. And it's like, now you look out and it's like, geez, I'm nervous to like, I don't know, get gas at a gas station
The
alone.
Wook flu kills now. The Wook flu literally kills now. So be careful.
Right.
We've thought about it internally a little bit about the reemergence and what's that looks like. Cause I think it's either going to be a lot of, there's two, I think. One is, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long and I want to really touch you a lot. Or it's kind of like, I think that I'm still, germs are everywhere. And so we're kind of thinking about what that's going to look like and how we can play a role in sort of teaching people how to be around each other again and doing it respectfully. And maybe that's when it's the asking is going to be kind of normal at that point.
Yeah, I think we're all getting conditioned to that. Like I mean, Tim's going to hate that I'm bringing this up, but I was watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan thing last night or 2 nights ago.
Let's talk about that.
Hold on a second. This is going to tie together because they were covering what Jordan's flu game was, which turned out to be food poisoning, but everybody thought he had the flu and everybody's like hugging him and like rubbing his head. And like, I'm like going, moving forward from 2020 on, if you think somebody has the flu, you're not getting anywhere near them. Like not even close. Like it's just crazy to watch that. Oh, so
I've been a little bit of a germaphobe my whole life, and it's I try to keep distance, especially with like after shows. But everyone else, like, you know, you're outside trying to like sell CDs or make fans or whatever, and everybody wants to say hi and shake your hand, and it's like, I'm watching you while I'm on stage, like cough or fix your nuts or I mean, don't touch me. Like, do you like me or do you hate me? So I'm all for the distance thing.
I'm not gonna
like
miss the
touching
handshake at all.
No,
like,
not at all.
I'm Howie Mandel, the fist bump thing.
No, I'm going Bruce Lee. I'm going.
I wonder if
from now on.
Yeah.
I
Well,
agree.
if
I
you
think
do
the bow is the way to go.
And if you do this, you can like slice away.
Oh,
block handshakes.
I like.
So you
oh
give
yeah.
I
like that.
I was wondering too if it's going to be. I was listening to an interview with the president of Live Nation on like CNBC or whatever, and he was talking about how they have enough money to like survive an entire like 2 years of this or whatever. Of course they do, because
of course they do.
Evil.
Fuck them.
They can find things in their
yeah.
Live Nation, eat shit.
Well, like, how about the fact that like, and I'm gonna even like side dovetail here for a minute, but like, I have Tool tickets for a concert that was supposed to happen a month ago, and they are canceled. They're postponed. They're not canceled. So I can't get the money back for the shows. And knowing Tool, that tour is going to be done in like 2048. You know what I mean? Like they don't tour. They barely ever tour. And like I saw them like this last tour at Barclays, and I'm like, I have to go again. They're phenomenal, unbelievable live. But the shows, like, and you call Ticketmaster, people aren't even answering the phones. They have like an automated thing. And if you go on the live chat, it automatically shuts it down and says like, your concert's not canceled, so you don't get your money back. But then bands like Phish, Dead, all those bands, but everyone's like, you have until May 31st to like, you know, I mean, I'm keeping my tickets, but I'm also like, you know, imagine if it was something you actually couldn't get to. People don't have jobs right now. Like bands should take care of their fans.
I argued with the Rams at Indianapolis over Robin Hitchcock, which was supposed to happen last week. And I was like, give me my money back. And they're like, well, it might be in October. And I emailed them and harassed them on Twitter. And one day I woke up and it was in my bank account, the money.
Good for you. Yeah. Ticketmaster is impossible. And they said it's all about Tool. It's all about the band. The band decides whether or not they want to cancel
that buck. You got to pass that buck.
Well, Maynard will be in a bunker till about 2040. So that's probably.
Yeah. I was ready to like tweet at Rogan and be like, can you let your friend know that we all would like our money back? But anyway, they were talking about like when concerts do come back. And I have to think about it from like a logistics standpoint where like legal stuff too. Like imagine being a venue or and you are the first venue. Let's say you're the Garden, right? And you have a concert prematurely and a ton of people get sick or whatever. Like, are you liable? Like, is there some, like, is that going to change? Is there going to be some,
you know, about it because it's going to happen in the South. Like, I might be.
Well, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Oak Mountain.
Yeah, I know,
whatever.
but I mean,
you
like,
name it.
there are parties out there before the jam scene does it that are going to do this experiment. Like, I hate to say it, but like, this experiment's going to get played out, and it's not going to be in our scene. People are going to try this. It's going to be premature. It's going to come back on them, and it's not going to be in our scene, in my opinion.
It's going to be smaller. If it's going to be official event, it's going to be extremely small.
Well, like before you came on, we were talking about like 2 days ago in Arkansas, they had a concert like at a venue. A country singer, the lead singer of a country band, did an intimate, like socially distant concert that Live Nation sold tickets to. You can go online and look it up, and they only sold the place to like 15 or 20% capacity, and like you had to wear a mask, you had to have your temperature taken. It's all out online. You can go check it out. I forget the name of the. I'll look up the name while we're talking.
My daughter,
I find it to be so premature. You know?
My daughter plays tournament softball. And I got an email from the sanctioning body, USSSA, the other day, and everybody had to sign a waiver if you were going to go out and play in tournaments.
Wow.
So that's where they put the liability, huh?
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to sign a waiver before you walk in that venue. That's exactly what's going to happen.
It'll be included in the ticket. When you buy the ticket, it'll say you waive all rights to sue this if you die from corona or anything. It'll be on the back of the ticket in that small print.
Yeah, so America's first
I think there's actually some legislation. It's like a legislation thing they're trying to pass in like some states for that, because that's like the Disney clause that like a lot of like
that's a good
answer, places like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like the first the Travis McCready performed to a crowd in masks in the country's first concert. It's on Rolling Stone. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's very weird, and it's so strange the way that it.
Take your mask off to drink a beverage, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. And if you look at the, you know, there's like a group of people that are standing near a merch table is one of the pictures, I think maybe on Pitchfork. And it's like, they're totally not 6 feet apart. They're totally not. I mean, it's just a matter of,
but nobody sneezes, not one time.
Look, I waited in line this morning to go to a Target, and like, it was, you know, to get like cleaning supplies, and people were like, you know, they gave us the spiel. And they're like, okay, like everybody stay 6 feet apart and respect each other and this and that. And it was like guys' grocery games or supermarket sweep or something. Like the minute we got in there with our carts, everyone was like bumper cars running into each other and shit. And I was like bugging out because I'm so paranoid about all this.
Yeah,
and I just like, I hid in the wrong aisle. Like I just went in like a toaster oven. I was looking at Keurigs or some shit.
I was going the wrong way because the local grocery store is the arrows, and I was so anxious that I didn't like know there were that kind of rules. It says like stop one way, like almost like going on a one-way street. And so I'm like, looking for something.
I did that at my grocery store the other day, and I was so I was so mad because I forgot something in the produce section, and it was like going like a rat going through a maze trying to get back to get what I forgot in the first place.
When this thing first started, I was in the grocery aisle, and anytime anybody would enter from the other side of the aisle, I would panic and just grab whatever was closest and run out of the aisle just because I didn't want to be near anybody. I ended up with Fluff. Like I bought Fluff for the first time since I was like 8 years old. I've been eating peanut butter and Fluff sandwiches just because it was the closest thing to me. I grabbed I hate creamy peanut butter. I like chunky, but I grabbed creamy peanut butter and Fluff, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is so weird. Yeah, that was really good.
You were talking about people. You were talking about people sneezing on each other at that concert. I did the dumbest thing the other day. I was walking my dog. I had the mask on, and there's this house I walk past that has this beautiful old hound named Homer that I was like, "Hey, Homer!" And the owner happened to be out that day, and he's standing there. And I took my mask off to talk to him. I'm an idiot. I'm like, what? No, that completely ruins the point of having. I'm like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" God
Yeah.
damn it! I
Some people
immediately
cut out
knew.
their mouth and said they could breathe better. I'm like,
Well, it also fogs up my glasses. So anybody with glasses knows that that mask fogs it up pretty bad.
it's the
So
It's really
there is a
bad
little
with
bit of like a-
glasses. It's really
No,
bad.
but you can keep it tight. I found that if you pinch it tight at the top, like I have the mask have the little wire in the top. If you pinch it tight at the top or keep it tight at the top, it prevents the fog on the glasses.
Like a
Somebody's got to unmute. Someone's got to unmute Ghost Llama so he can talk.
Oh, there
he
we
can
go.
unmute himself. He's a
Yeah,
big
my
boy.
bad. If you put the glasses over
On
the top of the, you won't get fogged up.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to have something to prevent the direct thing.
Yeah, but I got some cloth thing. I don't have metal things. I got something my neighbor gave
No,
me 'cause she was
that's
like,
what I'm
"Oh."
saying. Even with a cloth one, as long as you have your glasses over the top of it, you're good.
I'm a big fan of the t-shirt sleeve that like you kind of wear. Like, the
Yep.
neck thing.
Oh yeah.
Pull it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
go
yeah,
double
tie it
mask.
up.
But my wife's a nurse.
Yeah.
So like I'm
My son weighed one out of a
freaking
dirty
out
sock.
constantly. It's like Groundhog's Day. Yeah, I ordered one
Yeah,
of those
yeah,
things
yeah.
from Funky Breads. I'm waiting for it to come in. Actually, one of the neck things.
I've got
with
it down
donuts,
to
but-
I've got it down to where I can leave the house once a week. I go do all I need to do for work, grocery store, liquor store, and I come home and I don't have to leave for another 6 days.
I had
That's
to
awesome.
move. I went from Chicago to Boston recently and did the 1,100 miles alone in this big box truck in every single rest area. And I felt like I have been watching The Walking Dead, and every single time I was anywhere, I thought zombies were coming out because I was alone on the road and I was like doing this thing. So I ended up having
Wow.
quarantine for 14 days
Can I-
on Cape Cod, but
So
What
you
you gonna say?
moved like all of a box truck full of stuff from Chicago to Massachusetts. Did you have help with movers and stuff,
no.
or did you do it all?
I did it alone, but I've been slowly transitioning back to the East Coast since last summer. So it was just the end of all my things. Mostly boxes. I didn't have any furniture at the time. I lived in a studio apartment.
Okay.
It was this big. So
We
it
welcome you
was-
back.
Thanks. Yeah, I had people on both ends helping, but
Yeah, welcome to the East
did the
Coast.
journey alone. But it was wild just
Yeah.
being out with it was right. Chicago was on lockdown, so I got stuck there, and then I figured out a way to get home safely and everything like that. But I'm telling you, it felt like I didn't exist in a regular universe of any kind. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Seeing nobody on the highways and stuff at rush hour in like all, you know what I mean? Like driving through Cleveland, there was nobody. It's just at 5 p.m. or whatever. It's just nuts.
What, did you have to sneak out of Chicago like late at night?
No,
Like
it
threw a
was-
ball over the border. Like I gotta get my ball.
yeah, it was more of planning it correctly and getting it figured out, because I didn't have the other end of the plan where I had to quarantine. My mom is high risk, so I couldn't come directly to her home where I came to help her. So I had to, it was just the way it worked out. But the Chicago went on lockdown, and I was afraid the rental car company, the truck company, was gonna shut down. So I postponed a couple weeks to sort of get a better sense of what was going on. And my landlord, it was this whole thing. It was a lot of stress, but
Yeah, it sounds like it.
you know, I'm here
I
and
mean,
I'm happy.
the airport thing sounds crazy right now.
Can you
Like,
imagine?
I have a coworker who flew last week and going back to New York, and he was like, you don't want to do it. It's miserable. It's absolutely
One of my
miserable.
best friends flew him and his daughter down to Disney World in Florida right before it closed. Like flew to Disney World. I'm like, oh my God, you just dove into Infection
brutal.
Central. They're fine. They
Dude.
didn't, you know, but
I was
man.
thinking
Do you ever
about that
feel
too,
like,
like,
you live
we
in two
did-
different countries though?
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
Like, I
you know
have
what?
family-
You know what? We've been
Yeah,
talking
man,
a
it's
lot
fucking
about
Europe. We live in Europe. We live in Europe. It's
No,
like
I mean, I
every
have
single
family
like
in South
every
Carolina, and they're like,
state's different.
everything's open. It just
I
feels
know.
weird. I don't
weird.
know. It's
Yeah,
weird to hear
man,
stories about
We
everything's
did a
people
open,
going
cruise. I
man.
was on the TV show. The TV show Impractical Jokers. We had a cruise in February, the 10th to the 14th, to the Bahamas. And at that point, we
So-
had to sign a paper that was like, "Have you been to China?" That was the first only thing. Have you been to China? Have you been around anybody that has been in like Asia or do you have a fever? And I was like, no. All right, get on the boat. And we got off the boat. I hate cruises to start with, but it was fun because it's our show, and we're performing on it and stuff. But oh man, like I think about that now, and it's like it's just amazing how like a couple weeks of like this makes you think about the way we lived and how much we took for granted. It's just so strange. People walking around on a cruise ship
I don't know how cruises or buffets are ever going to recover.
Yeah. Hey,
I
I got a question from the chat.
All right, Llama,
Has
let's hear
any
it.
of our guests been to the show? They want to know if any of the guests have been to our show. Have any of the guests
tonight's show, the dinner and movie show?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Virginia Beach show that's going to be on dinner and a movie.
Or Phish topic.
Yeah, let's get back to
let's go to Phish topic. I was excited to talk Phish.
We got some heavy shit going on tonight.
Yeah. No more comedy, no more sexual harassment, nothing else. Let's just talk music.
And no more COVID. Like we do have a rule when we talk about COVID, drink. So
yeah, we did go kind of deep in COVID.
Everybody
life, man.
I need a beer.
Yeah. All right.
I
was not at this show.
Something too. Mike, were you at this show?
I was not at this show, but I was at I went to the Hampton 97. This summer tour, this 97 summer tour, I did Darien Lake 97, 814. Life-changing show. That's when Keezy came out and did the Forbins Camel Walk prankster rap thing. And that was unreal. I graduated high school that summer. So that was a big deal. And then I did a bunch of the fall, the Worcester shows and the, all that. But and then I did Virginia Beach 98 the following year which I did most of that summer. That was a fun. We were going from the Terrapin. We were going from Merriweather down to Virginia Beach, and our car broke down. So we hitchhiked, and then that car broke down. And we jumped into a purple school bus from Canada that could only go 35 miles an hour. And we missed the first set of Virginia Beach 98, got there for the second set, caught the whole second set. I was standing next to the guy who turned me on to Phish. And the way that he and I got to be friends was we would give each other Grateful Dead tapes in high school. And we turned to each other and I'm like, it's so cool to see a show with you. And then Terrapin Encore. And it was just like, just tears. That was just such an unbelievable. Virginia Beach is a magical place, man. I love that venue, and I'm so excited to watch this tonight.
Wait,
Kevin, I don't want to interrupt you, but we actually have our next guest. So maybe I'll let him in, and then Brandon and Ashley can answer the question. Is that fair? I don't know. The timing is weird, but I don't want to leave him hanging.
Come on, temporary. Let's get him in.
Yeah, it is time for Ari.
Ari.
That's how that works.
So professional.
You're doing great.
So professional, Howie.
Living on the Hudson and on your SiriusXM radio dial. Raise a glass to the audio architect. Jam on, Phish Radio, and many more. Ari Fink.
Wow, what an intro.
You like that, Ari?
Oh my God. I'm honored. That was incredible. I just cried a little bit. Thank you. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how you doing, Ari? Welcome to the lot.
Thank you.
We were just talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about if you had been to Virginia Beach, the Phish show that was on Dinner Movie. I think we got Mike's answer. We'll jump to you because you just jumped on, but I do want to get back to Brandon and Ashley to see if they were in attendance.
So I was not in attendance at this Dinner and a Movie. My first show was 8/8/98 at Merriweather Post Pavilion, a few miles from where I grew up.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to the Terps. And then I ended up without a ticket heading down to Virginia Beach the next night, Summer Tour 98 for the Terrapin Station show. But alas, I was not there for what we're about to witness, which is going to be amazing. Ashley, how about you?
Mike was just talking about that. That's awesome.
Hi, Ari.
I was not.
Hey.
Yeah. Hi, Ari.
No.
I
Hi.
was not
Hey, everybody.
There. I was.
What about you,
not
Brandon? Were you at this show?
Nah, I'm a baby. I was 2000 was my first Phish show. Hershey Park 2000.
Great show.
You're in the millennial camp with me and Llama. That's fair. It's all right. You're not alone.
I'm the winner. My first show is 8/14/04. You guys know what that date is.
04.
So
8/14/04.
So Ari, where in Maryland did you live? I live in Sykesville.
Oh, cool. I grew up in Silver Spring.
Very nice, very nice. I went to University of Maryland myself.
Cool.
What is your stance on Old Bay?
Old Bay? There's
Is
only
that
one
from the
stance
chat?
on Old Bay. If I got it, I'm going to use it. That's my stance.
Good answer.
For sure.
Back when the world was normal, Ari and I used to run into each other in the hallways of the Sirius XM building quite often in the elevators, which I'm terrified of an elevator now.
What were you in that? That was with shit. I used to listen to that show on Comedy Central. It was with
I used to go on. I'm on the Bonfire. We still do.
Bonfire.
We're doing it.
Fuck
we're
yeah, I
doing
love
it,
that show.
Yeah, with Big J and Dan Soder and Ron Bennington's show and Jim Norton's show, and I did some shit. But we've done some stuff on with Ari too. We did a takeover, and it's so cool being in a building and seeing someone like, you know, you're walking by like legends. It's so cool being in that building, Ari, because like you don't know who, like Pete Townsend's walking down the hall, and then like Harrison Ford's there, and
right?
LL Cool J.
It's
So
weird. I mean,
man.
you know, there's priests from the Catholic channel, and then Howard Stern's guests, and Andy Cohen's guests, and classic rock guests, and hip hop artists, and Anderson
Hip hop
Paak, and
guests, yeah.
It's just wild.
Pamela
Ari,
Anderson and Jenny McCarthy. And
Ari, are you're New York based?
I am, yeah.
Have you seen? Oh man, Sirius has got a sweet station set up. The new building out here. Oh my God.
In
It's
LA?
amazing. Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
know,
Oh,
it's
the LA
beautiful.
building is beautiful.
It's
It really is nice.
amazing.
The
It's
studio's great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that performance space down near the parking garage that's just like, out of this world. Yeah,
it's nice down there.
Can we
Ari,
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I think this is the first question anyone wants to ask Ari is, how did you get hooked up with Sirius? Like what was your career path that brought you from whatever you were doing, right? Like I know there's a gap. I know you graduated UMD, and then I know you from Jam On. Obviously, then you went on with like Dave Matthews, Phish. But what was that gap? What brought you to Sirius?
So my first job at Sirius was helping to build the Grateful Dead channel when it was first launched in 2007. Basically, they needed someone to produce digital content for the channel, basically get source audio from the vaults and make edits and clean up concerts and noise cancel and, you know, tighten things, and then build David Lemieux's Today in Grateful Dead History, produced Tales from the Golden Road with David Gans and Gary Lambert. So that was my first gig at Sirius, and it was a part-time, you know, coordinator, producer kind of a situation, and it just grew from there. I mean, it was before the merger with XM. It was a much different company at the time. I think there were 7 or 8 million subscribers, and it was kind of in its infancy in a lot of ways compared to where it is now.
I remember those days. I bought a Saturn, and I was so happy that it came with satellite radio, and then they were like, "This is free for a couple of years. We don't even know if it's really gonna last, but if you want to renew it, it's like $30 a year or whatever." And I'm like, "This is the greatest thing ever." I'm so happy.
It was a crazy place. It was right after Howard came to Sirius, and that's sort of what inspired me to apply, and along with a friend who was working there, who asked me to apply for the specific gig that he thought I might fit for. But the fact that Stern was there and that there was this music platform that kind of was wide open made it a really, really interesting place of possibility. And
So had you been a DJ before that, or was it more behind the scenes doing like audio production and like what you were just describing? I'm not a pro, but had you been a DJ before that?
No, I mean, you know, I DJed in college. I grew up playing bass, actually. And so, you know, my experience was recording bands and recording my band. And I worked in studios part-time in New York City right before I started working at Sirius XM. And so that's kind of where the the angle that I came at it from. It's actually the only radio gig I've ever had, Sirius XM. So I didn't like study radio
Sirius
in college. Yep.
Wow,
that's
so
interesting.
your whole background in audio is just making sure your bass sounds good.
I love bass. Yeah, it's pretty important. Definitely, the low end is something that I gravitate towards. Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Definitely. Mike's bass tone tonight, you guys, is out of control. That's one thing to listen out for tonight. It's jumping.
I'm so excited for this show. I have chills thinking about it.
Absolutely. 97 was the introduction of the cow funk, and then like turn Mike up. That was a big thing in like 96 is like turn Mike up. And I think we got it in this show tonight. I can't wait.
It sounds great.
The people for a louder mic.
That's right.
Yes.
There was
Yeah.
the group, the people for a louder mic.
Ashley, you have a question?
I was gonna say I'm a person for Mike.
She's a person for a louder mic. Yeah.
We've had a couple of Mike fans. We had Jen Bernstein on last week, who's the infamous Mike fan.
Yeah.
All right, Ari, I have a question. This is probably the last direct question, and we'll keep it open. You work with Dave Matthews channel, the Grateful Dead channel, the Phish channel, and the Jam On channel. I know you personally through Phish, but what do you consider to be your personal favorite out of, I guess, the jam scene or out of those channels? Do you have a band that you identify as your personal favorite band?
I don't. Honestly, it's hard to pick just one. It depends on what I'm listening to at the moment. There's great things from so many different artists, and not just the ones that you named, but I love Pearl Jam too. I programmed Pearl Jam's channel for a long time. Beyond that, what Chance the Rapper and Anderson .Paak are doing. Yeah, no worries. But there's so much great music out there. It's hard for me to kind of like just tunnel vision with one. But all of those bands have been my favorite band at one point or another over the course of a week or a month or today.
I have a two-part question before we move on and open it up. Ari,
is there going to be a goose channel?
that first of all,
Okay.
Tell me the
Did you just say, is there going to be a goose channel? Jesus Christ.
You cut out there.
That was Llama interrupting.
Was that Ghost Llama who's looking for the goose channel?
Am I cutting out?
No, I mean it could happen.
Goose channel.
Oh yeah, can you repeat the question
give them
one more
some time to make a channel's worth of music.
They're gay, man. They're making good music.
I'm sorry. I'm
all in due time. They're young.
I'm kidding. I'm just
No, you're good.
These Zoom things are so hard to get a rhythm going.
Isn't it weird?
If we were in the actual
it's so
lab,
fun.
we would have laughed about that. And it's so damn weird. These things. Like it's just when your job is to like be interacting with people in real time, like a second is just so like it's so weird. Like whose connection gets funky or who's frozen, and you think they're mad at you. And you're just like, really, they're just like halfway through a sneeze face when their internet froze. And it's like, what the hell is going on? And, it's so strange. Nikki Glaser had a very funny thing on Conan the other day where like everybody, like after they say goodbye, they're like, okay, goodbye. And then you do like your, how do I shut off Zoom face? It's so weird.
Steve meeting and you're like,
we're just
joking. God
we're
damn
leaning
it.
in on
So
that.
sorry.
Mike, the question is,
actually, yeah, it's perfect.
No, Mike. The question is, are you in speaker view or are you in gallery view? That's what I want to know. Let's go around the room because that's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
I'm in Brady Bunch view.
Gallery.
I'm in gallery.
Brady Bunch.
So live, we're in gallery view.
Yep.
That's how
all right,
we
just
do
making sure we're on the same page.
There are other pasty white guys talking about jam music. No, I mean, honestly, this is not an original concept. And there's other shows of, this Zoom meetings talking about music and shit. And they do the speaker view. And I find it awkward. I find it unbecoming. So here at Wook Plus, we do gallery views, so you can watch the awkward, Ghost Llama thinks he's not being paid attention to, but we're all watching him being uncomfortable.
He looks great to me.
Uh-oh.
I love
Maybe
it.
he's frozen.
I'm
Somebody
Ari,
has to watch
I have a
the
question
video.
for you, buddy. Yeah, mine is too. Ari, this is Mike Finoia. Can you hear me? First time, long time.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What if you
Hey,
had to
welcome to
adapt
the show.
to? What have you had to adapt to personally? Like when Sirius was like, okay, work from home. Was that hard to do? Like,
Sure.
are you like having to adapt to that now? I mean, I know you got to use different equipment and things like that, but I mean, are you communicating with like, producers and engineers and stuff like from like via meetings, or is it all pre-recorded a lot? Or
There's, I do a lot of stuff on my own, and we've been doing remote broadcasts and voice tracking remote for a really long time. And so we kind of were built for this in some ways, especially working on live music channels where there's so much live content and live coverage and remotes that are happening. So that part of it has not been as difficult to transition to. I mean, the meetings and sort of everybody staying on the same page and being able to communicate with different departments and, connect the dots, that's a little bit more challenging. But for me, it's actually just trying to avoid the stuff that gets thrown at me by my toddlers while I'm doing what I'm doing during the day, because they're just beautiful tornadoes that whatever you put away will just spit back at you 10 seconds later. And so that's really the challenge, is not to get hit in the head with toys and whatnot.
Hey, Ari, do you want to start a band named Beautiful Tornadoes? Me and you. I'll play keys, you play bass.
I feel like that should be like a Jim Parsons cover band. You have to cover 90s alternative.
Yeah, right.
If you're the Beautiful Tornadoes.
Yeah. Wook, you in on drums? You in on drums? Wook?
I'm in, buddy.
All right,
we've got a turquoise size band right here with everybody.
That's the worst Counting Crows cover band ever.
That would be something to aspire to.
You're the guy that dances like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Hey, Wook, have you brought up, since this is the lot, have we talked about our favorite lots to hang in pre-show? Has that come up?
Hold on.
Question, Mike.
Thank God Finoia's here, man. Thank God, like
I'm
Finoia's
so
just
sick of
taking
talking
over
about
this.
COVID and everything else. I want to talk Phish.
No, Finoia, make him the host. Make Finoia the host.
No.
First I'll say, when we were doing our green room, my one comment I loved about this show was we have some professionals. Like, you guys all, right? You all have done this before, and this is a perfect example of that. I personally, out of all the lots I've been to, SPAC was my personal favorite, and I want to start that conversation and pass it along. Maybe we'll bounce it back to you and then go around the room. What was your favorite lot? What's your favorite lot to hang out in?
Ooh, boy, oh boy. There's been so many, not counting festivals.
You asked the question, Mike. Mike, you asked the question. It's your question.
Doesn't mean I have an answer to it.
Mike.
Ari, do you have an answer to every question you ask?
If
I
have to
I would say, I love
segment.
Hartford, Connecticut, Meadows, it used to be called. That's an incredible lot. I've had a lot of fun there. That's a great lot. I love Great Woods lot, or whatever it's called now. And Vernon Downs. That was a really fun one too, because it was way out in the middle of nowhere. SPAC, I've had a lot of run-ins with the cops, and I've had friends eat too many drugs and then end up in a sand trap like Homer Simpson.
That's why I like it.
It's a strange.
Not too much.
You find their spirit animal, and it turns out to be,
SPAC was probably
not
the
their
most
spirit
enlightening
animal.
show I've been to, if you know what I mean. And I think that's why it's my favorite. Is I have met new meanings at SPAC. Ashley, what about you? What was your favorite lot?
I was thinking about the New England ones, and I think I've been. Great Woods is the kind of hometown one, but I was really, when you guys were talking about that, I was thinking about the Gorge and the kind of experience you have all day going in and out of campsites and hanging out, even though it's really hot. I like the automatic shakedown sort of setup, and then the idea that people are making all this like Wook shade tents and all these things, and you can go to camp, and obviously the environment is gorgeous, and it's not really there's not a lot of authorities or people really bugging you out there. I feel like it's sort of free festival feeling, but not actual festival grounds. And that's one of my favorite experiences. I've been there twice, and both times.
It's a beautiful place. Yeah.
I would say that was one of my better experiences, but I kind of like Vegas, honestly, because when you're there for Phish, you can take your drink in and out. You can bring your merch back and forth. You can just hang at the bars, and then sort of, it's just casual. I like stuff that's casual and not stressed. Like, oh my God, we got to get in this crazy line. Like at SPAC, it's stressful. And that's when I have that kind of like groove safety kind of moments where I'm just like, this is too close to these people. So I like the casual ones where you can kind of go for a journey to get to the venue.
Sure. What about you, Brandon? What's your favorite lot?
So I gravitate towards old Meriwether lot before the renovations, when they had like the dirt and grass and everything like that, like on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
And that was the best. Now it's like they paved paradise.
Yeah.
I
love Meriwether though. It's a great.
The venue itself is so sick. There's also like the Midwest lots are sick. Deer Creek is so.
Deer Creek was my answer.
Insane. Yeah, I mean, dude, Deer Creek is unreal, and Post Gazette Pavilion too has like always had such a sick lot.
Yeah, Burgettstown.
Just kind of post up, and it's like those are like drive-in, drive-out venues though too. You know, no one lives near there.
When I was in 8th grade, the Renaissance Festival in Maryland used to be in Symphony Woods around Meriwether, is where they originally did the Renaissance Festival because it was the coolest place in the whole state.
It's beautiful
awesome.
there.
That's
and
really
I'm
cool.
Ashley, I'm with you with the Casino Phish. I was pleasantly surprised over the past few years, not only with Vegas, but Mohegan Sun as well. I mean, super convenient, easy to get into the venue. You can have a stroll. It was amazing how convenient all that was.
And even Atlantic City, I think was it 2010 and 2013.
AC
that was
great.
fun hanging on the rock
spot.
Yeah, definitely.
2010, that
Matt,
was
were you
Vader.
trying to jump in there? What?
Well, I just think like 3.0 lots, the Dick's lot is pretty badass. Like I like the Dick's lot because it's
Not
so
bad.
established now.
Yeah, like
plague.
Pre-plague.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pre-plague.
Which was pre-COVID,
so plague 1.0.
God, I miss plague. I just wish we had a plague.
I know.
You missed the good old days of only having
anything for a
plagues.
mole plague right now just sounds amazing.
You only had to worry about being bitten by a prairie dog. I mean, come on, how likely is that? You know?
Yeah.
Can I pick the neutral ground outside of Tipitina's? Does that count as a lot?
Sure. Why
not?
Yeah. Jazz Festival right there.
Let's throw Frenchman Street in there. Absolutely.
All of New Orleans is one big lot. I mean,
right. True.
This is probably unpopular, but Manhattan, I don't know. It wasn't for a long time, but 17 on, MSG has become the #1 venue I've seen Phish at, and I've gotten comfortable. I wasn't at first, but the bars there and the scene, like, it's weird, but going to the Pen with fan art and everything going on in Manhattan, like, the MSG shows do feel fun in a weird, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, it's not a lot, but that's a fun show too.
It's so
I love
funny.
you take the train in.
Living in New York,
you take an elevator up and go to
living
the
in
show.
New York, it's like the second the show's over, I'm like, get me home. I just want to be in my apartment. That's the good thing about like, you know, now being in Manhattan. Like 4 nights of New Year's, I was like, the minute the encore's over, I'm like calling an Uber. Let's get home. I don't want to deal with it.
Depends on the weather too. It can be real
Yeah, totally.
cold.
I remember there was the one night of the Bakers that right after the show, or maybe the whole show was thunderstorming, and we had a post-show party we were going to, and by the time we got to the second show, it was just torrential downpour, and we were just completely soaked through.
Hey,
and that was miserable. But when the weather's nice, you're right.
I was just gonna
really
say,
nice.
we have a minute till the show starts. I'm
Is
gonna
it
say Red Rocks
showtime?
is my favorite
Showtime.
lot ever,
Oh
and
my
it's
God,
showtime.
you guys.
1
All right,
minute.
I'm going to cut this fast. We got to get in there. We're running late, but thank you all for coming on. Brandon, Mike,
So
Ashley,
fun,
Ari,
dude.
you guys
So
are
great
all
seeing
awesome.
everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
So
for sure.
cool.
Everybody
You're
stay
all
safe.
welcome
Thanks
to
for
come
having me
on
on, dude.
again. I really do hope you come on.
Thanks
again.
for coming, Ari. Thank you.
Anytime,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
Anytime.
you.
For sure. It's
Be
great
safe,
to see all you
everyone.
guys.
Appreciate it. Have a good
Have
show.
a good show,
Hey.
everybody.
Let's all make
Yeah,
our
this
how do you
is-
turn off Zoom face.
The Zoom face.
This is when we go, right?
Yeah, this is it. I want to end it for everybody. Love you all. See you. Have a good show.